the day with the dawn ringing in my ear. Well, I tuned to my TV show. No better way to get myself into gear. Let's go. Oh, and I feel good today with my wake up in the morning espresso. I feel good today. It's my feel good breakfast show.
Here we go. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And
Indeed.
Listen, if you're off today, we are very jealous. But yes, it is Workers' Day Monday, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to work super duper hard to make sure you are entertained on your Feel Good Breakfast Show from now all the way through till 9 o'clock. More
Exactly. More, Zoe. You look so snoesig in your jacket.
I am super cozy.
Oh, it looks like it. Yeah, no, it's summer on my side of the wall this morning. Look, it's cold out there. It's cold. The winter is setting in. It's a chilly morning in the mother city. We'll bring you all the weather updates in just a little bit. But speaking of, you know, that word that we do not like to mention, load shedding. Yes, we're going to share in your pain this morning, but also bring you some light. Solutions from our experts in power. It is a big topic that's, you know, I think on everyone's lips in South Africa at the moment, this whole load shedding. And this morning, from navigating insurance policies to installing solar panels in your home, we've got the tips that you need to navigate through this rather tiresome time. Are you coping?
We are coping, but you know what? I'm a half glass full girl.
I like
so it's all about the solutions. I am here about let's problem solve. Load shedding is going to be around for a while. We can complain about it or we can do something about it. So we are going to make sure you are covered. So yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, we look forward to bringing you those tips this morning from our energy experts. But let's go say good morning to one of our other experts this morning. Here's my man Graham with your social media post.
Morning, G.
Good morning, gang. Yes, we're all experts. That's what I love about this space, is we are all on the front lines. I could be sitting thinking, how do I get to start my day with 2 supermodels every day? Which is what I do. But no, I'm actually trying to come up with a solution to load shedding, because all of us have to be focused on that right now. It is undoubtable that everything has changed. Good morning. However we find you, in darkness or light, on this beautiful Workers' Day, we want to connect with you and we want to hear from you. How has life changed on the base level? What has changed in your ecosystem because of load shedding? Have you bought things that you never thought you would buy before? Have you changed your lifestyle in a way that you never thought you could before? What have you done as a result of load shedding? Blow our mind this morning. We'd love to hear from you. And if you've got solutions, this is where you want to put it out there. Please drop us a voice note, send us a video, a pic, 063-408-8863. It's all about load shedding solutions and just how much our life has changed and could change as a result. We'd love to hear from you, but right now, let's get into those talking points with the news and then, yes, the sport. Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you so much, Graham. 2 minutes past 6 o'clock. Let's get into your news headlines for this Monday morning. Starting off with your national news, all South African evacuees who had indicated that they wish to return home have returned from Sudan. International Relations and Cooperation Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor officially welcomed them at OR Tambo International Airport yesterday. 53 South African, Zimbabwean and Lesotho nationals were brought from the war-torn country. They were taken from Sudan to Egypt and then travelled to South Africa via Kenya. Pandor thanked everyone involved, including the humanitarian organisation Gift of the Givers. The Cabinet has appointed a new board for the National Lottery Commission. It replaces the 4-member board that was appointed by the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Ibrahim Patel, in March last year. The Lottery Commission is currently under investigation for corruption and fraud by senior officials involving well-known personalities. The new board members include the former head of the National Prosecuting Authority's Asset Forfeiture Unit, Willie Hofmeyer, and the former Director General of the Department of Trade and Industry, Lionel October. And then jumping over to international news headlines this morning, fighting has intensified in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, shattering the latest ceasefire. Yesterday, the army said it was attacking the city from all directions with airstrikes and artillery to flush out its paramilitary rivals. The latest truce was due to end late yesterday. Millions remain trapped in the capital, where food is running short. Some 500 people have been killed since fighting erupted on April 15th between the regular army and the rapid support forces. However, the number of dead and wounded could be much higher. And Norway's capital Oslo has unveiled a statue of a walrus named Freya, which was a popular attraction but was put down because of public safety concerns. The life-size bronze sculpture depicts Freya lying on her side, and this is how humans treat wild nature, and so I will call the statue for our sins, creator Astrid Tenoen said. Earlier, some $25,000 was raised to make the statue. The mammal of some 600 kilograms used to clamber onto boats to sunbathe. She was put down in late August, triggering criticism across Norway. And we end off with this story. Cape Town saw what was arguably the mother of all pop culture events this weekend. The organisers of Comic-Con Cape Town say the inaugural event was a huge success, which started on Thursday and ended yesterday. Comic book fans, fantasy movie enthusiasts, gamers and artists converged on the Cape Town International Convention Centre. The event included some 200 exhibitions and panel discussions. It was truly a world of fantasy where fans could live out their passions and play dress-up as their favourite comic book or movie characters. Now, organisers say the first fully fledged Cape Town event surpassed all expectations with some 26,000 visitors and tickets that were sold out 2 weeks ago. The event also offered professional cosplayers an opportunity to compete at a global level. Now, if you missed out this time around, Comic-Con Africa is coming to the Joburg Expo Centre in September. So in the meantime, start getting that Captain America or Wonder Woman costume ready. In my case, I will certainly opt for a little bit of Superman. But that's it for your news headlines on your Monday morning for the 6 a.m. bulletin. We'll be back at 7 o'clock with another update.
Thanks so much, Ewan. When it comes to Superhuman, we might be seeing Erling Haaland at a Comic-Con shortly. Incredible. Let's start there with football first. Man City beat Fulham to return to the top of the Premier League table as Erling Haaland scored his 50th goal of the season in all competitions. Unprecedented. Haaland converted a third-minute penalty before Fulham levelled matters. Then Julian Alvarez netted an absolute screamer to claim that 2-1 win. Then Liverpool moved up above Spurs into fifth place on the table after an incredible 4-3 win at Anfield. The hosts raced to a 3-0 lead before being pegged back in the 93rd minute, only for the recently returned to form Diogo Jota to net that winner just 2 minutes later and to break some hearts. Then Man United, they beat a high-riding Aston Villa 1-0, while there were also wins for a very high-riding Newcastle, Brighton and Crystal Palace, kind of telling the tale of this incredible season. Then we bring it back home for continental duties. Mamelodi Sundowns marching on. They've booked their spot in the CAF Champions League semi-finals. That was after beating Algerian outfit CR Belouizdad 2-1. Now, this happened on Pretoria on Saturday, and they enjoyed the home crowd advantage. That victory was enough for the PSL champions to seal a 6-2 aggregate victory, having won that first leg 4-1 away from home last weekend. Then the Giants, the juggernauts that are Al Ahly, they're also through to the last four, and that was after a 0-0 draw up against Raja Casablanca as the Egyptians advanced 2-0 on aggregate. Then Esperance and Virat, they complete that very strong semi-final lineup. Then on to MotoGP. So close for South Africa's Brad Binder. He's secured second place in the Spanish Grand Prix in Jerez. The Red Bull KTM MotoGP rider had the lead of the race on lap 1 and maintained that position throughout. And the full defending champion Franco Bagnaia passed him on lap 20 of 24. That as Jack Miller completed the podium. Binder had won the sprint race on Saturday, having qualified 4th for the race. The South African currently 3rd in the overall standings as a result of this weekend's action behind Marco Bezzecchi and Francesco Bagnaia. Then on to Formula One. Let's turn to four wheels now as Sergio Perez won Sunday's much-vouchered Azerbaijan Grand Prix with teammate Max Verstappen in second to ram home Red Bull's supremacy over the rest of the Formula One grid at this stage. Then Ferrari's pole sitter Charles Leclerc, he completed the podium with a respectable 3rd, a great position when you think of how the team's been struggling. Perez, the winner of Saturday's sprint in Baku, cut Verstappen's lead now in the Drivers' Championship to 6 points after the 4th round of the record 23-race season. And yes, a little bit later in the show, we will delve deeper into all of the permutations in the English Premier League. It's the business end now, but that's where we leave our sport. For now, let's get into your Workers' Day weather.
Thank you, Graham. And we start off with some international news too. This morning, we have good news regarding the environment, especially the oxygen tank of the world, and that is the Amazon. Now, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has decreed 6 new indigenous reserves, banning mining and restricting commercial farming there. Now, the reserves include a vast area of the Amazon rainforest covering some 1.5 million acres. Lula, who took office in January, has pledged to reverse policies of his far-right predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro, who promoted mining in indigenous lands. Lula said he wished to legalize indigenous lands and didn't want any indigenous territory to be left without demarcation during his government. Now, indigenous leaders have welcomed the move, and recent years have seen an alarming rise in deforestation of the Amazon rainforest, a crucial buffer in the global fight against climate change. The new reserves are in central Brazil as well as in the country's northeast and south. Well, that is your international news. We now bring it back home to your sunrise views. Kicking us off this Monday morning is Wayne Adams from George, sharing his majestic morning view. Look at those colors, they are beyond beautiful. Then Esteline from Karija shared this image of the cloudy skies filled with rosy hues. Tiso from Bloemfontein and her gorgeous images of the clear morning skies. Thank you for that. And then Mark from Bonteheuwel in Cape Town shared this morning view with us. Look at that glaring sun shining through the cascaded clouded filled sky. So thank you for that morning view. If you have a good morning post to share with us, we would love to see it. Our number is 063 408 8863. Let's get into today's temperatures. Starting off in Polokwane, your low is 11, your high 25. Mbombela 15, 27. If you're in Pretoria, 14 is your low, 25 your high. Johannesburg 14, 23. Mahikeng 14, 28. If you're in Klerksdorp, your low is 15, your high 28. Kimberley 10 with a high of 34 today. Bloemfontein 6 reaching a high of 27. Richards Bay 19, 28. Pietermaritzburg 14, 27. If you're in Durban, 19 is your low, 25 your high. Mthatha 9, 28. East London 15, 25. Cradock 6 with a high of 29. Gqeberha, your low is 14, your high 24. George 10 reaching a high of 20. Cape Town 14 with a high of 19 for today. Worcester a low of 8, a high of 26. Sutherland 4 with a high of 23. And if you're in Uppington, a low of 8 and a high of 34 degrees Celsius can be expected. Well, there you have it. That's a first look at your weather. We'll have another update shortly after 7.
Thank you very much, Zoe. It is wonderful to start off this Workers' Day Monday morning, nice and early with you. We've got lots heading your way on your Feel Good Breakfast show this morning. We've got a theme of load shedding this morning, but we're looking at the glass half full. We're taking a look at those solutions of some of our energy experts. And then this man is here, the superhero of news. He is here and he's got a lot to say. Morning, Roy.
Morning,
What's got you excited this morning? I see that
lots
you
of
are.
things, yeah. New mayors in Joburg. We've also got KZN's whole food crisis at the schools, and we've got celebrating to do.
I love that.
We have a solo world champion.
I love that. Can't wait to hear it.
Talk about that in a bit.
Fantastic. Roy will be joining us after the break as we run through the morning headlines. Stick around.
Only you can make my day. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Because we need a little grandiose entrance on a Monday morning. Most importantly, on Workers' Day. Yes, a public holiday for many, but yes, some are doing their duty today, and that is working on behalf of all of us. And we're here to keep our pledge to make your feel-good breakfast show a reality. And of course, we've got our news editor, Roy Simpson, who's going to try and make the news feel good this morning. At least he's going to put it in perspective for us. Roy, we love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really do appreciate it. And as always, we need to know how you feel about these major issues and how they affect you. So please share your thoughts and your opinions, your insights. 063-408-8863. We've been talking about finding solutions to load shedding, so we're going to approach everything today from a solution perspective. All right, so we can try and be positive. But there is a lot going on to confuse us right now, and you're in one of the most... it feels like Groundhog Day, bro.
Dude, for sure. Can I just also say, on the topic of Workers' Day, the fact that we are working, is this really work?
No.
Is this really work? I mean, come on, we get to hang out with you guys.
And Roy.
And Roy. I mean, yeah.
And Roy's going, yeah, no, this is really work.
For sure. Now, I know it feels a bit like we've seen this in a movie before, because we have, but tomorrow, yet again, Johannesburg will vote for a new mayor. Now, the Mogale mayor was ousted just over a week ago, and recently there have been leadership changes in Tshwane and Ekurhuleni. So, Roy, just how many mayors have Johannesburg had?
Interesting way to start it.
Yeah.
Well, Tapelo Ahmad, of course, resigned last week. He was the fourth mayor since the local general elections, which would have been November of 2021. So when we get a new mayor... Look, two of those have been the same person, Mpho Phalatse. And there is a chance that tomorrow the fifth mayor would be Mpho again.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's about administration.
We'll call it an interim manager.
Well, yeah.
Reserve.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So the issue, of course, is continuity of administration. Because you'll start a project, so Mpho came in, we're going to spend 700 million rand on fixing load shedding, and people started gearing around that. They started drawing up plans, purchasing agreements, things like that. Bang, she's no longer mayor. That's no longer a priority. So all of that work just lies dormant and gets wasted potentially. And you have this every time you change administration. So tomorrow, to answer your question, we'd get the fifth mayor for Johannesburg. Ekurhuleni's had 4. Tshwane's had 3. Nelson Mandela Bay is on its 2nd, but that's just been really, really messy. So we've got this situation across all the metros where we need to find a solution to these unstable coalitions.
Because, and we can identify it within the political framework, yes, but it's a function.
Yes.
It's a job that speaks to a running, functional system that keeps stopping and halting. What is driving this uncertainty in that space? Is the job impossible? Is the politics making the waters too murky? What is driving this kind of instability in that space? Because these are pretty key positions for the running of the country.
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at the economic powerhouse of the nation.
The function, and it's that functional kind of area where we need traction.
Absolutely. So it is the politics of it. There are very, very few instances. And remember, we're talking about the metros.
Yeah.
There are municipalities across the country where changes are happening on a regular basis as well. It's not the gig itself. It's the party seeking power. So it's all about, can we cobble together a coalition that steals the little one vote you had to make it a majority for you, and then our person can get the top job. So it's all the contest for power. There are very few instances where mayors are being removed because they are incompetent, because people really lack confidence in them. So you've got people like the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, coming out and saying, well, let's have rules for coalitions. It's interesting that the ANC should start taking coalitions so very seriously in the run-up to next year's national elections. But yeah, I mean, we have to find a solution. And I think we as citizens, we as a people need to realize we can actually have any kind of society we want.
Yeah.
We can write the rules for anything we think that's going to work. I mean, we invented, do you remember floor crossing? Where you could swap political parties halfway through your term.
Oh, can we bring that back? That was really exciting.
Well, potentially we can do this for coalitions for the first 2 years. You're stuck. It's not until death us do part, but until 2026.
Fiscal 25.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know. So some kind of rules for how these coalitions work together.
Completely.
It's viable, I suppose. It's possible, yeah.
I suppose as long as we take a functional aim, the reason why I can't move past this, I remember reading an article saying that it can take an organization up to 5 years to recover from losing one key personnel. So imagine what that's doing to the structures. How does that affect you if you live in one of these municipalities? How do you feel about the revolving door of managers coming in and out? Yes, we're not talking about the Premier League, we're talking about South African politics. So please let us know, but we will talk a little bit of Premier League and continue with those news headlines as well in just a moment. Stick around.
Oh, thanks, G-Man. Well, I know we are talking serious things, but something that we also need to take note seriously is it is getting colder. Winter is setting in, and luckily for us, Woolies has us covered with the best winter styles. Now, for today's look, I opted for a sleek all-black outfit. As you can see, I'm wearing this black outfit, and I paired it with this faux fur coat. And, of course, I can't go around looking like winter and having open shoes, so we're going to pair it with this fantastic pair of boots. Now, these ankle booties, they are designed with a faux leather upper and a very chunky rubber sole. So these are incredible. I'm going to pop these on, but you can spoil mom or even yourself with a stylish pair of boots that will last for seasons to come. Plus, you get 30% off women's boots until the 7th of May. Now, shop this offer at Woolworths. It's in-store, online, as well as on the Woolies app.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this Monday morning. And we are all about the news headlines this morning. Making news headlines is Zoe's boots as well. Look at that. Come on, Zoe.
So cozy, yeah. I can't wear open shoes on the show, so you gotta wear them boots.
You gotta wear them boots.
Boots are made for walking.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, that news headline, it's came and gone, but it's good. It's going to be here all morning, though. But look, we are taking a look at some of the major news stories this morning and of the week as well. And our news editor, Roy Simpson, is back with us to help us understand the implications. And if the election of mayors is a movie stuck on repeat, the award for the longest running drama series must go to Eskom and load shedding. Like sand through the hourglass, so the power to cook meals runs through our hands. And look, we got to
on its own.
Yeah, it's a drama on its own. We got to start it with a kind of a light note. But yes, the ANC is taking Andre de Ruyter to court for defamation. So just firstly, for those who might not have been following, he's not in the country anymore.
No,
are we speculating?
We're pretty sure he's out of the country. Even just looking at his Zoom crossing, it didn't look like sort of South African winter.
You guys analyse things.
And there's an upcoming part of this court case. The ANC wants to put the boot in now. They can see that he's in a tight corner. He's made these allegations about senior members of the ANC, senior politicians being involved in corruption. But he hasn't produced any evidence. He hasn't even named names when it came to SCOPA, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. So they feel they've got him in a corner that he might not be able to get out of, because when he fulfilled his obligation under the Prevention of Corrupt Activities Act, man, for that you just need to go and I have a suspicion, and I've seen this and I've seen that. When you're talking about a defamation case, you need to be able to prove. You need to say, I said that because I know this.
Yeah.
So if he's unable to do that, and we know with corruption, it's sometimes really difficult to provide proof. So they feel they're going to take him to court, get him for defamation, and clear their own name. Wednesday, the court case is about interacting with someone who's not in the country for a court case. The understanding is that he's in Germany at the moment. And we always said that was the wise move for him.
Yeah. Do we know who is this person? Do we know?
Oh, who the minister? No, we don't. What we know is that he has spoken to ministers, so you can kind of start joining dots. Tomorrow, Scope is having a meeting. They're calling in Pravin Gordhan, and they're calling in the former security minister, Sidney Mufamadi, and they're going to try and grill them. There's no suggestion it's either of them, but the suggestion is they know who it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I also know that, from a safety point of view, he didn't want to mention, any names, for his and his family. So, but he did refer to the Hawks and that they know.
Exactly. So this is the thing. He says he's fulfilled his duties to report this matter, and there are people who know the answers. Go and ask them. It's their job. So that's where we're at. It's
going to be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. But I think that this court case it's just a PR exercise.
I wanted to ask, do you think there's a case?
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction. I think they might get him.
Okay.
But nothing will have changed.
No.
They won't have proven anything by proving that he can't prove what he wants to say. It's a complicated thought for a Monday morning.
Very complicated. Well, I feel like I'm going to add to that complicated mix. Roy, last week in the news, I read about the KwaZulu-Natal feeding scheme. So a lot of kids go to school, and some of them, that's the only meal they get is through these feeding schemes, and that whole feeding scheme collapsed. What do we know so far? Because my understanding was only one company received the entire tender.
So you're absolutely right about that. Zoe, it's worth about 2.1 billion rand. But you're looking at 2 million kids, and you're looking at feeding them for a year. So the individual amount per child per day really is quite small. It's less than 3 rand, I think. But the collective value, 2.1 billion. And what the KwaZulu-Natal Education Board, or Education Department rather, is saying is that they took the same option that Eastern Cape did and appointed one service provider. Because if that runs properly, that service provider then has all this money and all this capacity to negotiate for better prices, which should improve the quality of the produce, should improve everything about the system. The problem is this particular operator just doesn't seem to have been fit for purpose. They maintain that they have been politically sidelined, that people have stopped their trucks from delivering things. But I mean, you had deliveries of rotten food, arriving at schools. You had non-delivery. Suddenly schools had to drive to depots to fetch this. And it's 2 million children who, as you say...
They rely on that.
They depend on it. That is their only daily guarantee of protein and sustenance. So since the Easter holidays, these kids haven't had access to it. And it's not clear whether there's corruption. It has the whiff of corruption. This guy's connected with funding ANC campaigns and things in the past. We don't know that. What we do know, and I can give you some good news on this at least, is that the department has basically said, everyone who's running the scheme, before we gave it to the wine company, just pick up where you left off. So that should mean that everything should kick in and the system should be where it's at. There's going to be a lot of fixing things post hoc, trying to find out was there corruption. So the SIU is involved. They're already looking into the tender, and there are questions around senior politicians who would have awarded it. But it looks like when kids go back to school tomorrow, they should have access to this nutrition program. So that's
some good news. I mean, the focus really should be on the kids here. I mean,
totally, yeah.
I mean, for a kid to go to school hungry and trying to learn, I mean, that's just not right.
No.
So let's hope. Thank you very much, Roy. We're going to be back with Roy for one more segment. And very proudly, South African.
Yeah.
Kirsten, yes, 8 months at sea alone and the winner of the Sail Around the World Golden Globe. I mean, look at that. It is an incredible story. We're going to dig into this in just a little bit. Stick around.
Yep, momentous moments in sport. You can feel how I'm feeling about it this morning. Yes, it was a shaky weekend for some. Another action-packed weekend of Premier League games where every encounter really mattered. Man City back at the top of the table. I think we saw this coming after another thriller at Anfield between Liverpool and Spurs to break hearts. Last night we almost cancelled the show this morning. Newcastle also strengthened their chances of that top 4 finish. And of course, Champions League football, Man United, they're also up there after a hard-fought win over the high-riding Aston Villa. Yes, you can gloat if you want to here to discuss the action. Is Good Hope FM sports anchor Lorenzo Daris. This is a crazy time. In the craziest Premier League season I think we have ever seen, as embodied in one man. 50 goals already. You were saying 6 games still left to play. Love the fact when you watch these stalwarts of eras past, the Alan Shearers, who were that physical anomaly in their era, trying to wrap their head around Erling Haaland and this amount of goals. Netted his 34th goal just in the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's more than half of the table combined.
Yeah, and looking at the bottom half, some of them are still looking for their 10th goal, but we'll see how that goes. Alan Shearer and all the others still trying to figure out, is Erling Haaland human? Have they brought in an AI that can finally play football in the real world?
FIFA have been having it for a while,
they've been busy developing someone out there, and we're seeing what's happening. But that team as a whole, not even 5 minutes, not even 10 minutes, you stuff up.
Yeah.
And then they just come in like they're doing now with Arsenal, just coming in, game in hand, point ahead.
And don't say it's because they just do everything the same, because Pep has made more changes to his team than any other coach in the game. Absolutely love it. Another coach, Unai Emery, Aston Villa, absolutely mind-blowing how he's restructured that team. Just beautiful. Up against a Man United that are finding form. Yes, they have their moments, but essentially, you look at the season, it's a massive success for Ten Hag. Massive.
No, definitely. And also, we need to look at the fact that he's been kind of short with some players as well, losing inches.
Eddie Howe has to stand out. I know Pep will probably take it if they win this, possibly, but I would think Eddie Howe has a case for manager of the season, because St James's Park is probably going to see Champions League football, and I've got a half-Geordie family.
Really? Finally moving away from Tottenham?
You don't understand the gloating that's going on with my father-in-law indirectly at the moment, but absolutely beautiful. Southampton, unfortunately, while they found a bit of fight, they seem most likely to go down 3-1 against Newcastle. Newcastle in third now. Incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's just firstly, acknowledge the fact that Liverpool B is going down, and Liverpool is struggling at the moment, so you can see they'll tell you one day it's not too good at home. All right, and then Newcastle, unbelievable with what they're doing. They bring me back that feeling of Leicester City years back, winning the English Premier League out of nowhere. They've always been there, mid-table, and now Champions League all of a sudden. And who's been there is sitting in the 11th spot at the moment, sitting in 6th spot as well. So
it just shows how the season has turned the table on its head. One major match, Liverpool and Spurs, we're not going to talk about it all.
No, we have to talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk about it all.
Celebrations all around.
I mean, come on, you go for the win, you go for the win. It doesn't matter if there's no time on the clock. You don't sit and celebrate, you go for the win. And ultimately, I suppose the fact that they'd been able to fight back, maybe they took a breath when they shouldn't have, and Liverpool capitalised.
No, definitely. We chatted about it off air as well. Mason doing absolutely well in that halftime chat with the team. Not just this game, but other games as well, just to bring it back as well. To come back from 3 down and seeing some of your supporters leave. you know, could put you down as a player. But to go back and have a coach that could chat to you, that could put that fire back into you, to get you to go out and still believe that you can score 3 goals, that's immense.
It's immense, and the fans need it moving into next season. We need that support base to be connected to the team, and so many teams fighting for survival, fighting for points, fighting for European positions. It's going to go down to the wire, buddy, and we are here for all of that drama. So where is your allegiance? Where do your hearts lie? Let us know how you're feeling about this insane Premier League season.
Only you can make my day.
Join the bank that's best for your loan. Choose up to 200 Rand cashback monthly with a personal loan. Apply for a personal loan and a savvy account today. Nedbank, see money differently.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we connect with the world. Yes, through
See
that
money
incredible individual, Roy Simpson. He's our guy connected to the news that's breaking across the world. And right now we are bringing it to you because it really does matter. We need to know what's going on in this crazy old world of ours. In one particular part of the world, a lot of news focused, which has to be positive in some sense because I think it's the forgotten corner of the earth that has seemed to be in the worst state for the longest time. We thought some progress had been made in the Sudan this week. We know the South African contingent, those that chose or want to be back in South Africa, which begs a few questions, but it feels like ceasefire is possibly over now and we are back in a mess. What is actually going on in Sudan right now?
It seems like the ceasefires have been only partially successful, that they're almost...
a notion.
Yeah, or a PR campaign of some kind. Remember, there's winning hearts and minds part to this as well as winning the war on the ground.
It's still political to an extent.
Absolutely, yeah. So the situation at the moment is that the internationals who are there have pretty much been spirited out of the country. There are not that many left who want to leave. So now you're in the situation where, in theory, there's a third ceasefire that's been started. But I mean, there are planes flying overhead shooting missiles into the city centre.
There is smoke rising all the time.
Absolutely. So Hemedti and Al-Burhan are very clearly properly at war. And I think the fear going forward, it's not a good news story in any measure, because with the departure of these international players, you get a lot of media attention disappears as well. A lot of international attention goes. And suddenly these guys are left to... Remember, they've both got like international criminal court issues around them, around human rights abuses, and they are now going to be left unwatched as such
to do exactly what they do.
To fight it out for power. So things not looking good, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you got to think about the people there as well. I mean, it's a dire situation, it really is. But we do want to finish off on a bit of a more positive note, and this is it. Back to home ground. Kirsten, we spoke about the surname, Noah Schaefer.
Noah
Schaefer.
Yeah, that's how she pronounces it.
Yeah.
And she's given quite a few interviews for someone who is struggling to be with people, with crowds of people and talk.
But can you imagine?
8 months at sea alone, but she won, the first woman.
She did.
Which I think is fantastic.
It is. This is an amazing thing. The race started in 1968, and they use the same tech that they did there. So there's no GPS on board. There's none of these direction finders
it's the
or anything.
stars, baby.
There's a satellite phone on board that they do safety check-ins on. So, for example, one of the competitors from Finland, interestingly enough, their boat just sank in the middle of the ocean. So they had a life raft. She was the one who went and rescued this person.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So she's won this.
She might have been, look, the only person within like 1,000 nautical miles, but she still did it.
So she's done this, and she gave a lovely... She came into Le Sabre d'Orléans, I forget how to pronounce it, but she came into the harbour in France, holding up the South African flag on Freedom Day, on the 27th of April. And then in one of her things, she said... And she's not a political person. She's not really a public person
Didn't
either.
do it for that. Yeah.
And she said she values the fact that she's come from South Africa, where women can do these things. So it was such a lovely moment. It was, you felt the emotion welling up as she came in first, the first woman to ever win a solo around the world yacht race, 48,000 kilometers.
I've got to ask you, in this, out of 100 stories that you get to focus on that's like this, how important is it to hear stories like this? Not just for you, obviously, in your ecosystem, but for the world to have this on front pages?
It's critical. This issue of gender equity, gender equality, it's a fundamental part of the society we're trying to build. And everything that says, man, you are making progress, and that the progress is going to lead to joyous moments, to things that we can celebrate, where we can go, look, this is doable. She can beat all the guys. And then you can celebrate that individual regardless of their gender. That's so important. Those symbols really matter. So this is so cool.
It is. And to see people doing stuff that no one has ever been able to do before in this way means that we can all do that. We can all go out and still do things that no human has been able to achieve before. But you've got to be a South African woman to achieve it. Okay, that's just the bottom line. We are so unbelievably proud. Roy, thank you so much for joining us on Workers' Day. Hopefully you are finding inspiration today. We've still got 2.5 hours to get you there.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. Well, listen, it is time to start living without the fear of chronic pain stopping you. Now, ActiPatch, it is a new and clinically proven treatment in the fight against chronic pain, and they gave 20 lucky viewers the chance to win an ActiPatch device by answering the competition post that was on our social media pages. So let's take a look at some of these exciting comments that came through, and of course, our 5 winners. Now let's read some of those comments. This one came through from Anita saying, my mother and I suffer from fibromyalgia and we are in constant pain. I'm even worse as I work at a desk all day till early hours in the mornings. I would be honored to get some pain relief at times. Oh, you know what, Anita? That means pain relief is heading your way. She used those hashtags ActiPatch and hashtag long-lasting pain relief. We now move over to our next winner, Julia, that says, I have arthritis and the inflammation can be severe most of the times, and I want my son to try since he injured his leg when he was an athlete. So, Julia, that ActiPatch is on its way to you. We have another winner and another comment. This one came through from Beauty saying, muscle pain as I usually get spasms. I visit a chiropractor every month. The cause was the medication I was on. So it's great to know that there is help on its way. Our next winner is Sipiwo, and this is what Sipiwo says. I have a backache, and it's caused by the accident I was involved in. Well, Sipiwo, we have an ActiPatch on its way to you. And our final winner, Ngwale, saying this would be a life-changing opportunity for me. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in my back about 4 years ago. I always struggle with pain. It's difficult to manage the pain with meds because it very seldom works. It was caused by lifting heavy stuff and continues to put strain on my back. This will be life-changing for me, and definitely it will be life-changing. So congratulations to you, and hopefully to all of our winners today, this will help you unlock your full potential, and it makes it easier when you have products that can assist you to stay in top health.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and yes, it is a Feel Good Monday. It is Workers' Day, the 1st of May. Well, we're about to introduce you to our performer for today, and he's best described as the frontman of Prime Circle and South African royalty. We have Ross Learmonth in studio, and he is the iconic voice behind all of those hits that you love, including She Get What She Wants, just amongst some of the songs. Now, today he will be taking us through his own musical journey and his latest release. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, here's a sneak. Let's give Ross a warm Expresso welcome. it's great to have you
Great to be
here.
here. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. You come from a musical career where people have known you for decades.
Yeah.
And now you're doing this all by yourself. Talk us through that decision of when you decided this is now the Ross chapter where I'm going by myself. I'm going the solo route.
Yeah, well, I'm still with the guys, but I just decided there's so much music in me. I didn't want to just do one thing, my whole life, just be a part of the Prime Circle thing. So I've branched out and I've been traveling the world and working with all these different people to create something and bring these songs out of me. And now we begin. Yeah, it's a new journey.
It is a new journey. And I mean, you mentioned traveling the world. So you've been to Nashville, you've gone to London, you've worked with interesting people that is part of, I assume, the songwriting process.
Yeah.
How's that influence been? And are some of them featured in the new work that you're doing as a solo artist?
Yeah, so it's been amazing. Like, seeing how you are as a songwriter, you always got to find your edges and see how good or bad you are. And then you realize what you can do and then see how they take it and how they work things. So that's been amazing. John Green, I worked with him on Wild, and I left his voice in the background. He actually is the backing vocalist, which is cool, as a little thing to him,
So as a seasoned musician, how was that going back into the training field like for you? Was it a bit of an adjustment to break the mold from what you know?
Yeah, big time. And just to see if you still have what it takes to go and do the long work again and get back on the road in a different way. So yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Well, earlier we showed our viewers a snippet of your latest release, Young.
Yeah.
You're about to perform Rose Tinted for us.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more what this song is all about?
I mean, I think we've all been in relationships where things could have worked out differently, and we wish we could have been seen different. So the song's sort of like, when you look back, sort of have a kind heart, have some rose-tinted glasses on, That's it, yeah.
Okay. Well, we are so excited to hear you perform. You've got such an iconic voice. Well, let me not go anywhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, treating us with our performance, here is Ross on your Feel Good Breakfast show, and this is the song called Roses Tinted. It is a voice you know, it is a voice you love, it is Ross Learmonth. He is on your Feel Good Breakfast show, and it's a voice you'll get to hear perform again and again. So stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast show. That was incredible. We can't wait to hear more.
Oh, cannot wait for the next performance. Lovely to have Ross in studio. 2 minutes before 7 o'clock, let's quickly get into another round of your news headlines this morning. Starting off with your national news, the Gauteng provincial government has taken a zero-tolerance approach to crime. Premier Panyaza Lesufi says the introduction of the crime-busting unit in the province should send a strong message to criminals. Speaking at their passing-out parade in Shoshanguwe, north of Pretoria, Lesufi told 6,000 new wardens that their duty was not to negotiate with criminals. He also handed over a fleet of 200 high-speed vehicles and 2 helicopters to the police, and these are meant to assist the team of crime prevention wardens when operating in unison with the SAPS and Metro Police. And then all South African evacuees who had indicated that they wish to return home have returned from Sudan. International Relations and Cooperation Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor officially welcomed them at OR Tambo International Airport yesterday. 53 South Africans and Zimbabweans and also Lesotho nationals were brought from the war-torn country. They were taken from Sudan to Egypt and then travelled to SA via Kenya. Pandor thanked everyone involved, including the humanitarian organisation Gift of the Givers. Then making international news headlines this morning. In the wake of our report last week on the artificial intelligence-generated interview with Formula One ace Michael Schumacher, comes the news from Japan that the group of 7 advanced nations should adopt risk-based regulations on artificial intelligence, said their digital ministers. This as European lawmakers hurry to introduce an AI Act to enforce regulations on emerging tools such as ChatGPT. However, the G7 ministers said such regulations should also preserve an open and enabling environment for the development of AI technologies and be based on democratic values. And fighting has intensified in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, shattering the latest ceasefire. Yesterday, the army said it was attacking the city from all directions with airstrikes and artillery to flush out its paramilitary rivals. The latest truce was due to end late yesterday. Millions remain trapped in the capital, where food is running short. Some 500 people have been killed since fighting erupted on April 15th between the regular army and the rapid support forces. However, the number of dead and wounded could be much higher. And here's a story that'll bring back some fond memories to many of our older viewers. A great-grandmother from Manchester in England who's crazy about motorbikes has been granted her birthday wish to ride on the back of a Harley-Davidson while celebrating turning 90. Fearless Brit Barbara Morris felt 21 again during her spin on the powerful American bike. She said several years ago that at 90 she'd like to get back in the saddle one last time. She was left stunned when her sons pitched up with members of a local biker group. Though wearing a dress, she unhesitatingly straddled the bike before taking a trip with 13 other riders to a pub. She said, the great-grandmother of 6, "It was just an incredible experience feeling the wind caress my face again." Now, Barbara obtained her first motorbike, a Royal Enfield, in the late 1950s at 19 years of age. And granddaughter Kirsty Harvey, who's 34, said, and I quote, "She's a daredevil from that generation that was made of tough stuff. Nothing phases her." What a story. Just shows you, once a biker, always a biker. That's your news headlines for the 7 o'clock bulletin. We'll have one more update for you at 8 o'clock.
Never too late for us, my friend, never too late. Absolutely love that. Well, on that inspirational note, let's get into our footballing news and a man who is changing the rules. Manchester City beat Fulham to return to the top of the Premier League table at the heart of that meteoric return to form, Erling Haaland. Now scoring his 50th goal of the season in all competitions. Incredible. Haaland converted a third-minute penalty to get there. That was before Fulham levelled matters. Then Julian Alvarez netted an absolute screamer to claim the 2-1 win to see them back at the summit. Then Liverpool moved up above Spurs into 5th on the table. It was after an incredible 4-3 win at Anfield that had 2 extra time goals. The hosts raced to a 3-0 lead before being pegged back in that 93rd minute, only to have Diogo Jota net the winner just 2 minutes later. Then Man United, they continued their form, beating Aston Villa 1-0. And there were also wins for the high-riding Newcastle, Brighton and Crystal Palace, all having phenomenal seasons. Then let's talk about continental duties from a South African perspective. And Mamelodi Sundowns, they are marching on. They booked their spot in the CAF Champions League semi-finals. And they did it in style after beating Algerian outfit CR Belouizdad 2-1 in Pretoria on Saturday. And that victory was enough for the PSL champions to seal a 6-2 aggregate victory, having won that first leg, of course, 4-1 away from home last weekend. Then some juggernauts in the mix as well. Al Ahly are also through to the last 4. They also saw off Raja Casablanca, and the Egyptians advancing 2-0 on aggregate there. And then Esperance and Wydad also complete that semi-final lineup, so it's going to be a tough one in the knockouts. Then we now turn to another moment of so close yet so far away for Brad Binder. South Africa's Brad Binder put on another brilliant performance, securing 2nd place in the Spanish Grand Prix at Jerez. The Red Bull KTM MotoGP rider had the lead of the race on lap 1 and maintained that position throughout with a brilliant drive up until defending champion Bagnaia. He passed him on lap 20 of 24. And then Jack Miller came in to complete the podium positions. So Binder had won the sprint race on Saturday, having qualified 4th for the main race. The South African is currently now 3rd in the overall standings, behind Bezzecchi and Francesco Bagnaia. Then we turn to 4 wheels now, and Sergio Perez won Sunday's Azerbaijan Grand Prix with teammate Max Verstappen in 2nd, just to drive home Red Bull's supremacy over the rest of the Formula 1 grid at the moment. Then Ferrari's pole sitter Charles Leclerc, he certainly put his hand up, completed the podium with a respectable 3rd. Great to see Ferrari getting some ground back. Perez, the winner of Saturday's sprint in Baku, cut Verstappen's lead in the Drivers' Championship now to 6 points as a result after this round 4 action. And of course, 23 races in the season, so plenty of drama still to come. But that's where we leave our sport for now. Let's hope the roads aren't too crazy on your Workers' Day.
Well, let's start off in Pretoria. There's a stationary vehicle. It's on the N1 northbound after Atterbury Road. That left lane is closed. Please drive carefully. And then moving to Cape Town, there's been an incident. It's on the N2 Settlers Way interchange inbound at that ramp from the M3. The right lane is closed. There are no delays. However, please be cautious when approaching the area. That's your traffic for now. Let's take another look at your weather. And we start with some international news. Authorities in Colombia have urged that towns closest to the rumbling, notorious Nevado del Ruiz volcano in the Colombian Andes be evacuated ahead of a possible eruption within days. The Disaster Risk Management Office said it was moving to evacuate communities that are located within 15 kilometers from the main crater. Families were informed earlier this month that children would be forcibly removed from the area if they decided to stay. However, many people refused to leave their farms and livestock unattended. Seismic activity has increased dramatically at the volcano, which killed some 25,000 people in an eruption in 1985. It was the worst natural disaster in Colombian history and one of the deadliest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century. It emits so much heat that it melted the snow that caps the mountains. This triggered a cascading wall of mud that swallowed the town of Armero, killing half of its population of some 50,000. That's your international news, bringing it back to your sunrise views. Kicking us off for your 7 a.m. update is Cheslin van Aarde, and he is from GQ, sharing his morning view alongside the beach. Look at those rosy views filling the sky. Then Arusha Singh shared her image of the clear skies all the way from Centurion. Bui shared the view from Margate, and what a great way to start off your day. Look at the sun's golden glare on the rise. Then Frikkie shared this beautiful image of the clear sky. This photo was taken in Klerksdorp. Well, if you have a good morning view to share with us, especially on your Monday Workers' Day, we would love to see it. Our number is 063-408-8863. Let's get into today's temperatures. Starting off in Polokwane, your low is 11, your high 25. Mbombela 15, 27. Pretoria 14 with a high of 25. Johannesburg 14, reaching a high of 23. Mahikeng 14, 28. Klerksdorp 15, 28. If you're in Kimberley, your low is 10, your high 30. If you're in Bloemfontein, a low of 6 and a high of 27 can be expected. Richards Bay 19 with a high of 28. Pietermaritzburg 14, 27. Durban 19, 25. If you're in Mthatha, a low of 9 and a high of 28 can be expected. East London 15, 25. Cradock 6, 29. If you're in Gqeberha, your low is 14, your high 24. Moving to the Western Cape, George 10 with a high of 20. Cape Town 14 with a high of 19. If you're in Worcester, 8 your low, 26 your high. Sutherland 4, 23. And Uppington, your low is 8, your high 34 degrees Celsius. That's your weather for now. We'll have a final update shortly after 8.
Thank you so much, Zozo. Now, as we come to grips with the reality of load shedding and we try to move on and find those solutions and find the best way to just keep life moving, we've got some gadgets, and Grant Hines is here. And if you don't have electricity, you can just get your own Grant. Yes, that is a real thing. Whatever that is, we are going to find out right now. Check how excited he is. Yes, there are some solutions that aren't going to break the bank. What happens with load shedding and insurance? There are so many questions to ask, and we'll delve into those in just a moment. Lights on, lights off, on. How does it do it?
Catch Expresso this May as we highlight the importance of feminine hygiene, proudly brought to you by GynaGuard, who are also offering 10 Expresso viewers a chance to win their own hamper full of a comprehensive range of GynaGuard feminine hygiene products to the value of 1,000 Rand. Simply reply to the competition post on Expresso's Facebook, Instagram and Twitter pages using hashtag GynaGuard and hashtag #FreeToJustBe. That's this May from the 1st to the 31st right here on Expresso. T's and C's can be found on expressoshow.com.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Yes, the lights are still on. Welcome to your Workers' Day celebration here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. But what happens when the lights go out? You can't work.
No.
Okay, and this seems to be our problem. We are having our Money Matters chat right now with a focus on this world that we find ourselves in right now, load shedding. What are we doing to combat it? How is it informing the choices that we're making when it comes to buying a house, renting a property, changing our life? It's time to get into the gristle of all of that with hashtag Our Money Matters, because our money does matter.
It does matter.
And it doesn't go that far these days.
No.
Let me put this to you first, because we come at this from different angles. I know you guys are both homeowners. I'm still very much in the rental market, which has changed dramatically now, what you look for when you go into that space. But as a homeowner, how much of an infrastructural shift, because you've been on that path a bit longer than so.
It's been a journey, I won't lie, because I mean, since the very first rounds of load shedding, just something like cooking at home became a mission, so the first thing I did was get a gas hob. I mean, I think that's the go-to thing that I think a lot of people did. But as it intensified over the years, and as the kids, got bigger, and older, they need more, and it's early mornings for school, and there's all those different kind of needs. I mean, we did start looking at different solutions. The thing is that I find with a lot of people is, some of these energy solutions are pricey, and it's money that you didn't intend.
You're looking at about 200 grand to get fully kitted out in terms of a residential. And I know I'm putting a big number out there, but I've spoken to a lot of people who are fully set up.
I went through
180 grand.
Yeah, I mean, I eventually took the step to install a bit of a hybrid solar inverter system, just to run the basics of my house.
Your router on, yeah.
Well, I didn't go the expensive route. We have done a bit of it's like a hybrid situation. So in the bedroom, we've got the EcoFlow, which charges the bed lamps and our charging stations and all of that. So we've got light in the bedroom. Then in the lounge, we've got like a little battery, small UPS system, which keeps the lounge lamp, TV and Wi-Fi
Survival
on.
mode, we'll call it.
And I went to the store and got those load-shedding light bulbs. So I've got one in the kitchen, one in the bathroom, and I actually am thinking now of getting another one for the other bathroom and the passageway, because they work brilliantly. Some of them are a hit, some of them are a miss, but you leave your lights on, they charge. When the lights go off, you still have lights. And they were $100 a light bulb. So that is a cheaper way of going.
This is the thing, and I suppose it's how forward-orientated you are, because you can imagine when selling your property, what do you think is going to be on that bucket list? If you had to look for the next step, you would need a solar solution, surely.
I mean, this is what people are looking for now in terms of buying a home, new homeowners, looking, is there an inverter? Is there a gas hob? Is there something that can shield you, against load shedding? And this is a big kind of talking point when you approach and go, say, listen, speak to an agent, this is kind of what I'm looking at.
For you guys, is this still a grey area, or are you kind of thinking, if I'm going to sell my property at some point, I'm going to need to have a solid solution in place? Does it feel like we're all going to have to cross that threshold at some point?
I think my situation's a little different, because our body corporate, we've got like our own thing, like we still want to redo the roof, so there's no way I can think of solar panels just yet, because we've got a roof.
Collectively, but you will
Because we've got a roof project that first needs to be ticked off the list. But I would love to invest in solar panels, and I think a lot of families are starting to do that. So
I think body corporates are going to do that, approach banks. It's going to have to be a part of like a property developer's story,
from
man.
a point of view of saving on your electricity bill.
For sure.
Just to tap into that.
As someone who can sell a house, how important, dude, but how important is it going to be moving forward? Surely it's going to be a given.
There's no question about the fact that it does raise the value of your house. That's for sure. When there's an active inverter system in your house, if it's even close to being off-grid, we're talking, you get to different models. I think the general norm of people going is either 2.4 or 5 kilowatt inverter, which is a huge asset to your home. So I think, if you're on the market right now, or if you are a homeowner and taking a look at the landscape of load shedding, there's going to be with us for quite a while.
Be here for a while.
It is something to consider investing in for your house, because it is going to push up the value.
And then it turns that spend into an investment. And I have a feeling moving forward, 100 grand here could be $1 million moving forward when you're reselling your property. I know it's difficult stuff and it's very challenging to think about these things amidst the uncertainty financially that we all find ourselves in, but you have to think about it because load shedding's not going anywhere. And if you're looking to invest in alternative power solutions for your home, speak to your bank first. They are making it a lot more convenient and affordable than ever before because they are incentivized as well. Speak to them possibly about a personal loan, negotiate, and you can have flexible repayment terms and good interest rates, but you've got to talk and communicate through that process and hopefully just have a little bit of a breathe.
And you definitely need that, and especially so you can keep the lights on. And for extra touch, if you take out a personal loan with Nedbank and open a Savvy account, you will get 200 Rand cash back every month for the duration of your loan. Now, for all of those details, you can visit their website. You can visit nedbank.co.za for more.
You must be wondering how I got here, ne? Enjoying Bomadi sushi, got fork and knife over bubbles of sparkling water. But I didn't know the changes, Joe, because I chose Nedbank, the bank that gives you discount upon discount in this country. I call it a bank with benefits, eh? Yeah. Value guaranteed. Seriously? Seriously.
Load shedding is here to stay. I'm sorry, I know I keep reinforcing it this morning. Maybe I'm trying to counsel myself and just come to terms with this, but I think the long power outages causing serious damage to consumers' properties, belongings to geezers. In my case, there's been so many new little nuances to this conversation, given rise to the importance of insured items. Is it crucial that policyholders take steps to enhance your chances of claiming success in the event of any loss or damage to the insured items? This is what we're going to talk about right now.
Definitely. And here to tell us more about this is franchise principal and financial advisor Warren Wilkinson, and as well as our very own tech guru Grant Hines, who's joining us for this discussion. Warren, I'm very interested in this because my newly operated electrical garage is now acting up because the battery's given in.
Sure.
A friend said, "Oh, you can claim that from your insurance." Is that true?
How?
Are there loopholes that we need to now be careful for, or is it additional coverage that we need to take to protect ourselves from load shedding and our items being damaged?
I think the reality is that load shedding, grid failure, it's something that's become part of our life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the entire insurance industry has been hammered with claims. One of the large insurers has paid over R1 billion in claims last year as a consequence of power surges.
Yeah.
And as we all know, power surges is not something that necessarily on a once-off event will kill an electrical item. It's sort of the routine power surging and the related issues pertaining to load shedding that causes that failure over time. So I think the challenge is that for us as consumers is we've got to take proactive steps, to make sure that we have a hybrid system in place to protect our system. And that's really what the insurers have come out to say. So they've all come out with let's call it new terms, and you need to go and sit down with your broker and make sure that you understand the cover that you've got and understand the limitation to that cover. And by and large, the responsibility for us is to make sure that we have protection in place, like power surge protection on your DB board, not so much just on the plugs per se, as an example.
No, completely. I'll use a silly example here, but a very costly one. The thermostat on a geyser, broken 3 times. It cost about 35,000 Rand when it wasn't tracked. Okay, the amount of electricity increased when it wasn't, because no one thought that it was that. They thought with all the other myriad things, because I'm renting a property so there's 3 or 4 people between me and where the tire hits the tar kind of thing.
Sure.
It's going to change. We know that. And I think this was kind of like a giant step kind of thing where legislation's catching up with. But the reality is we've got to find a solution now. How expensive is that? I was chatting to someone who has done a comprehensive shift of his household, 200 grand. And he's clever and he's sharp and he's tried.
Look, so I think that's, for a lot of people, that's completely unreasonable. People watching this thinking 200,000 Rand.
Yeah.
Firstly, most people don't own the properties that they're in. And secondly, you want to invest in solutions that you can move with.
Yeah.
A lot of people live in townships. There's a lot of we've got to face the music when it comes to there needs to be technology that accommodates that. Like Warren was saying, one of the first things you should be doing if you can't put a power surge protector in your DV board, firstly, if you can't speak to your landlord to do that, you can get something called a power surge protector. It's a very inexpensive 3-prong plug that fits onto your DV board, onto the plug that your appliance goes into. This will be a fridge or a TV or whatever. I know a lot of people have had TVs blown. And then on this protector, what it's going to do is when there's a power surge, either over voltage or under voltage, because that's also what happens when the power goes off or goes on. That's when the damage starts happening. Think of it as a tidal wave. Lots of little waves that come for your appliance, and then all of a sudden there's a tidal wave of electricity. And if your appliance, like a fridge, which is very delicate,
they're just not built for it.
They're not built.
They're not built
for it.
Yeah.
This becomes the dam wall for that wave. So you get a whole bunch of these. They're very inexpensive. You'll find them all over like any online store. Just look for surge protector and make sure that it's on your most important appliances. So your TVs, your fridges, your geysers if it's plugged in. If it's not put directly into the DV board, which it should be. But yeah.
And surely this kind of thinking is going to become, if you're a property developer, if you're a landlord, if you're working in this space, is it your responsibility or is it the...
Yeah, listen, I mean, you know, you touched on the sort of body corporate, the space that you're in. So there's a submissions deadline, which is the 15th of May, that body corporates need to make towards this whole initiative of creating an opportunity for them to potentially also get tax breaks and enter into this space. I mean, the owner itself is the one that can get this tax rebate. So there are some incentives. Obviously, SARS will probably look how this develops over the next tax year because it's only available to individuals over this current tax year and for businesses over a 2-year period. And we hope that they will develop that to broaden the opportunity for individuals to be compensated in some way from a tax perspective if they're taking the initiative, as you say, to protect themselves and to lighten the load on the grid.
Completely. I mean, that's interesting. They're discussing the same issues with the grid. I hosted Dr. Ramahopet the other day, and they're more worried about the power going back into the grid than they are for this very reason. It's because the wiring, the infrastructure needs to be developed. There is opportunity in this, people. We know this as South Africans. There is an opportunity to find incredible solutions to these problems, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper, get a bit more granular. We will need to know, how is load shedding affecting you, and what are you doing about it? Let us know.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and welcome back. This is Expresso on S3. Now, franchise principal and financial advisor Warren Wilkinson, as well as our resident tech expert Grant Hines, they are back with us as we continue to discuss some of those burning questions around insurance and when it comes to load shedding, as well as alternatives that are available and affordable. Now, consumers and businesses to revisit, in fact, consumers and businesses have to revisit their insurance policies to ensure that they have the sufficient cover, which includes potential damage caused by power surges. We know load shedding is around, so we now need to make sure we protect ourselves.
These are all good signs, people. These are good signs. It means we're getting over ourselves. We understand that this is actually happening and we are finding a way to deal with it. Now, we're about to drop some wisdom on you, Warren. We've got Nirmala from Incomas about to weigh in. She is without a doubt the most conscientized, that's a real word, viewer that we have. No, we absolutely love her, and she has her finger on the pulse. Let's hear what Nirmala has to say this morning.
Good morning, Feel Good Expresso team. Mrs. Nirmala Devi Modlia from Kumas. Yes, I have changed a lot where it concerns the purchasing of my food these days, especially your meat and your greens that have no long lifespan like before due to load shedding. And of course, I've changed my times around how I do my work for the day, how I get my work completed for the day, especially my dressmaking, because load shedding really juggled our minds around now. Have a blessed day.
You have a blessed day, and we absolutely love you. Now, knowing the kind of person that she is, South Africa runs on these amazing human beings who are probably feeding their block, probably making clothes for their family. We have to take on board that this is really affecting people in the most incredible way. Let's take it a step further. Secondary responsibility, Warren. So now lights go out, someone breaks into my home because the alarm's not working because of load shedding. Is there a claim for that? Is it it's not our fault, it's the alarm company. How does that work in your ecosystem?
Yeah, again, I think the insurance companies look at something that is sudden and unforeseen, which is the principle of insurance. You know, you can't actually insure something that you know is going to happen.
For sure.
And I think that's where the exclusion has stepped in. There are obviously scenarios where even though you deployed a battery as a backup to your gate motor, to your alarm, these things can fail. You even have fire suppression systems and pumps that are run by backup generating power that can sometimes also fail. So I think every case will be investigated on its merits, and I think the insurance companies are fairly reasonable when they look at, well, what has actually caused, was this something that was within your control to manage? And I think that's the key thing. We all know that load shedding is a part of our life. In fact, America, India, Australia,
Venezuela had shut down.
Also has load shedding. So it's nothing new for the world to be dealing with, but there is that measure of responsibility that we need to take actively. As you say, know what you're covered for and make sure that you've got mitigating steps in place to try and avoid those scenarios from happening.
Because insurance companies, they want to keep you as a client.
Sure.
They don't want to give you one lesson and then never see you again. They really want to retain that, Sure.
Grant, you find yourselves, especially with load shedding, in conversations where people talk about solar power, like we're having a discussion now. But from a tech expert, can you give us some pros and cons when it comes to solar power?
Well, the biggest con with solar power is that it's super expensive, and it's actually fairly unattainable. If you've got like a fitter right now, I know my parents are talking to somebody that has access to panels because there's a shortage, go for it. You know, it's very rare to find that right now. And then the pros are that you do get the tax rebates. The government do want to see that. And that whole system might be elevated. There are talks about reintegrating that electricity back into the grid from you know, private individuals, like, you know, if you've got it in your house. So there are those benefits, but the biggest con is that it's expensive, it's super expensive. And also, just because you've got a lot of people, this is a big misconception, just because you've got solar panels doesn't mean you're completely off the grid. For instance, we've got a pretty big inverter at our house. We've got a 5 kilowatt inverter. We can't run the geyser off of it. The geyser takes a lot of power. So unless you've got a geyser alternative, like black pipes in your roof that heat up your water, you can't, you know, you're not off the grid there. And even stoves. Stoves and kettles, anything with an element, you kind of generally got to avoid, although we do cheat sometimes with the kettle because of the baby. But you can't run your stove. You still got to have a gas top, you know. So I think it's not completely off the grid, but the pros there are that you're way more independent. You can still potentially work if you've got your computers out. You can still make sure baby gets to sleep without interruption. Those are the other things. We always talk about load shedding in relation to productivity, but relation to family dynamics and the rhythms of the home, like it sucks.
Well, that feeds into productivity probably more than your workflow, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Your baby keeps you up all night. Let's see your output the next day. We're going to continue this really interesting discussion. We understand that going off-grid completely very costly, but solutions in that arc to get there a lot more attainable than I think you think. But when it comes to insurance, we got to be talking. You need to be having this conversation. We'll continue in just a moment.
Thank you very much, guys. It certainly is a very big issue that we are chatting about this morning. But for the first time, let's jump into the kitchen. I know that load shedding, I mean, it really is the pain in our backside. But fear not when it comes to whipping up some delicious power-free recipes. And yes, it is possible. And we're about to show you how to create a creamy avo and rotisserie chicken salad, which will have you coming back for seconds, that's for sure. I'm going to have Zoe join me in the kitchen as well. All right, Zoe.
This is my kind of food.
Yeah. You know what? This is, it doesn't require any power.
No, it doesn't. And you know what's cool? On a Sunday, you go to Woolies, they have their special. You buy 2 chickens and it's 149 Rand.
That's it. And this is what we have here, Woolies rotisserie chicken. It's also one of my favorite go-tos. You know, if maybe I'm away or traveling, this is, you know, to get the protein in. It's lovely. But if you have that, any of the other ingredients, you know, you can whip it out of your fridge, you can make it up as you go, but we're going to show you how to put this together beautifully. So, Zoe, I'm going to ask you, we've got some exotic tomatoes here.
These are beautiful.
I mean, look at these guys. I mean, some of them look like grapes.
This is like a mini watermelon.
I know. There's a tomato is not just a tomato. Okay, so you can cut them up however you want them, like in quarters and slices, whatever you feel. I'm going to start with the dressing. So we got some avocado that we've mashed up here. We got some yogurt that's going to go in there as well.
Quite like my tomatoes sometimes to be chunky.
Yes.
There's some people
especially in a
prefer
salad.
Them. Yes.
Some coriander we're going to pop in there. And you like a bit of spice, right? Some
Yes,
chili.
I love a bit of spice.
All right. And we're going to put a little bit of salt and pepper in here as well.
These are beautiful tomatoes.
They are lovely, eh? Very, very nice. Some lemon zest. Let's put all of it.
And I love that we're playing around with the tomatoes.
Some lemon juice, yes. There we go.
There we go.
All right, look at that. I love that green one.
Okay, wait, I cut myself, so I'm just going to grab...
Zoe, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine, I'm fine.
Got to be careful, especially when it's load shedding and it's dark. You don't have all your lights. Just be careful.
Yes.
When you're working with sharp objects. All right.
So we've got tomato here.
Yes, and now we just need to assemble it. So we've got a nice little salad bowl. You can instruct me, how do you normally put it? We've got some lettuce here. How would you normally go about it?
You know, I love salads that don't have a lot of lettuce. I feel like you go to a restaurant and they actually overdo the lettuce. But how do you go? We normally put the lettuce at the bottom and all the toppings on top.
I agree. So let's go with the lettuce. I'll help you out here. You instruct me.
Go for it. Let's add more lettuce, I think, just to cover the base.
Okay, cool. What would go next? The protein or some of the other ingredients?
Let's add more of the other ingredients. The protein will go on the top. You want that to be...
Okay.
So add some avo. We're definitely going to add our tomato.
Okay, some avo. Let's try and spread that out nicely. I mean, that's the thing about a salad. I mean, you can just throw everything together.
This is teamwork. You're going to push our tomatoes in there for us, play around with the different colors.
Yes.
Of course, we've got a lot of greenery on our plate already. We added our avos. We've now added our lettuce.
Some onions?
Some onions. Let's go for it. We need to add some of these beautiful red tomatoes. I mean, yellow.
There we go. Some red onion, which is also nice because they're sweetish. We've got some chopped up cucumber that I'm going to just
go for that.
Throw over that. I love that.
Look how beautiful the salad's coming together.
Already, eh? And then what about the chicken?
Let's go for the chicken.
Okay, going to use my hands. Hands
are
clean.
Nice and clean. And the shredded chicken, I know it's so difficult, but the secret to getting your chicken off the bone is when you buy your rotisserie chicken fresh, do it as quickly as possible, because the minute that chicken cools down, I find it very difficult to cut up and get it into sections. Then you become lazy.
Absolutely. And that's pretty much it. And then I have this lovely little salad dressing we've just made, and I'll just kind of dollop that on there, and then you can mix that in as you want.
Oh, I love this. Well, if you want to get your hands on this recipe, the ingredients that we've used, we have it available on our website, expressoshow.com, and we can finish it off with a little bit of coriander. I would maybe even squeeze a bit of lemon over there.
Well, there's a fair amount of some lemon juice in this
Oh, yes,
dressing
in
that
the
I put in there as
dressing.
well.
Okay,
And then just for the prettiness this morning,
we finish it off.
yes, come on.
Fantastic.
How's that? ExpressoShow.com. Make yourself a load-shedding free dinner.
There we go. Well, head on over to our website.
Whenever you have something really cold and then you get this short, sharp kind of sensation, that's sensitivity. It can get worse. The problem is not going to go away by itself. I always recommend Sensodyne. It's specially designed to care for their sensitivity. And I've had people coming back to me saying it's made a difference. It works.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are just in time as we are wrapping up our discussion around load shedding and insurance policies with Warren Wilkinson and Grant Hines. Now, unfortunately, the potential for further sabotage and Eskom's infrastructure deteriorating means that load shedding is remaining. But now we need to be proactive.
And there are tools to be proactive, so thank you so much. It's been so enlightening. I don't know what you charge by the hour, but please just keep it to yourself now. No, we absolutely love the fact that the insurance industry itself is obviously trying to cushion this blow. Is there such a thing as load shedding cover? At what level of nuance have we got? Was that an independent conversation you had with your broker?
No, look, so there are some of the giants in the insurance industry that provide a measure of power surge protection. But even the power surge protection additions to policies have been hemmed in with increased excesses and limited in terms of the cover amounts that they pay out. But unfortunately, load shedding and grid failure is just not an insurable risk. So again, there's some measure of cover that one can have for power surge. But that, again, you're going to have to go and make sure that your particular policy covers that and at what levels and in what instances.
I suppose it's a similar narrative to health insurance during COVID. It's its fault and problem and responsibility, but there is help out there, and I love the fact that has started. Yeah,
there definitely is. Now, earlier I asked you about the pros and cons about solar power. Let's talk about things people need to keep in mind if they now decide to go the solar panel route. Grant, what are some of the things people need to keep in mind when it comes to the maintenance and the installation?
Well, okay, firstly, the labor is expensive. Again, it's one of the things I think people go to these websites and they go, oh, I can buy a battery for, X amount of money. It's so much cheaper than what you had installed. But labor, to get it properly installed, is expensive. There are like 4 or 5 electricians on your property for like 3 or 4 days. It has to be properly COC'd so that like it's registered and it's not going to cause damage to the rest of your appliances or to the houses around you, and that costs money. And also your battery only lasts for about 10 years.
Okay.
And then you've got to replace that battery again.
And that's dependent on how you use it as well. So the system therein also informs that,
And I know those batteries are pricey, so that's something people need to keep in mind.
So I'm sure they're going to be about 20K at that stage. I think between 10 and 20 at the moment, but they'll definitely be on the 20K side in 10 years' time, that's for sure.
And I think it's worth, when you do set it up, I think it's going to make a massive difference how you get that foundation phase done. So it is worth doing properly, but the price will come down. It's like the big TVs.
Absolutely.
When QLED first came out, we were like, I'm not spending 120,000 Rand on a TV. it will change.
It's slightly different because it's battery technology. So battery technology hasn't changed that dramatically over the past couple of decades. We're hoping that there's a huge revolution, and it would be incredible if there's a huge revolution in battery technology. Everyone's been talking about carbon batteries and hydrogen batteries and all that kind of stuff. But for now, it doesn't look like there's a massive dip in the future, just because it's the same stuff that the lithium ion in our phones and so on is same as been.
As I'm listening to you talk, it's easy to get drawn into this conversation, and I would imagine on social media platforms, really easy, because we're so desperate to have our bias confirmed or to have that solution. And I'm thinking con men are going to love this space. We're going to see offers being made. How dangerous, potentially, when you think about your ecosystem and the safety elements within this, there could be an opportunity, or rather the negative side of this could be quite ugly.
Yeah, look, I think as we go through this boom of clients trying to make sure that they protect themselves, there's always going to be an opportunist to try and take advantage of the situation. And I think you've got to make sure that the installer is accredited, that they're able to issue the relevant certificates pertaining to that installation, because when it comes to claim stage, you're going to have to prove that it was done by somebody reputable. And I think you've got to just do your homework. As they say, measure twice, build once. You're going to want to make sure that you get a proper system. As you say, you can layer it. So it doesn't have to be the big whack of 200 grand, but you can layer it and make sure with a small adjustments that you can actually have a measure of life to adjust to this new normal.
Yeah, that's what we did. We've got our inverter and our battery. We're solar ready, but we don't have solar panels because we couldn't afford solar panels at the time. And in the next year or two, now that we've had the nice feedback from the government, we've got our COC, we're insured.
The price will come down?
The price will come down, we'll be able to install and then do it in stages. You don't have to run to the finish line immediately.
I know, and I think that's what a lot of people are overwhelmed with. You hear the price point, but you work your way up to it, and there are smaller things you can do in the meantime to make sure that your house is okay every time load shedding hits. Warren, Grant, it's so great to have both of you here. Thank you so much for imparting your knowledge on us. And of course, hopefully this also just puts your own mind at ease.
All right, so we're continuing on a little bit of load shedding this morning. We've all managed to find, our way in the dark to get dressed or just feel your way around to get to the shower. Worst case scenario is really when you have to kind of get in the shower and it's dark and the lights go off and you're trying to find everything. I mean, we are managing, but the thing is, what about the ladies who need to put on makeup? And we have a bit of a challenge today. I want to invite Zoe in here very quickly. Zoe, get in here because
I'm going to help you.
You're gonna host this and to tell us. All right, so tell us what we're doing here.
So I feel like we need to bring Grant in here as well, and we're just going to have a little bit of fun. I mean, there's nothing worse getting ready in the morning and then boom, load shedding hits and it's dark. Now, getting ready in the dark is never easy. Now, add makeup to a lady's morning routine, add putting your contact lenses in. So we thought, why not give the two of you, Grant and Ewan, the opportunity to just be in a lady's shoes by putting a blindfold on, and you're going to play makeup artist to our beautiful models that we have here. We have Lorenzo and Courtney, and we're going to see how you two fare. If we put a timer on, we put a blindfold on, and of course, we've got some makeup there for you. We've got clean brushes. I mean, you two are now going to be makeup artists.
Okay, I don't even know what. I'm
Okay, so-
Lorenzo.
so
I'm so
Grant-
sorry. I'm apologizing.
Are you-
you can up front?
Are you taking
Beautiful
on
products
Lorenzo?
to play
Yes.
with.
Okay.
So just
Courtney?
to give you, Grant, an
Okay.
idea of the options that's available, I'm going to
Yes.
squeeze through
Please
here.
do.
We have got beautiful makeup palettes that you can play with. So there's different color eyeshadow.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, we won't be able to see any of them, but fine, thank you.
But
better close
I'm
your
showing you
eyes.
now, and of course we have got a beautiful, that's also a beautiful eyeshadow
Okay.
palette. You can double it up as blush. Who said makeup's just for one part of the body? We've got different color lipsticks, and then these are really cool combination creamy blushes. So
Okay.
please, get your blindfolds on.
So
gonna
Courtney,
put-
I just want to let you know that I've been married for more than 15 years. I've seen this done numerous times, so you're
But
in
have
good
you
hands.
seen it done in
Where
the
are
dark?
you, Lorenzo?
stress.
There. Okay. This is a good. This is a
Yeah,
good.
trust me, it's going to go great. You just, I think I'm going to ask you,
I'll be
Courtney,
your
to hand me
assistant.
a couple of things.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Courtney, you want
Yes.
some eyeshadow?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a timer?
We're going to put the timer on in 3,
Courtney, can I have some? What do we have here?
1, let's
we get
go.
some- Can we get
Have
some
some
as well?
eyeshadow.
Yes,
Are you
we're
starting with
gonna
the most
give you
difficult
some
thing?
Eyeshadow, Grant. Here's your eyeshadow
Really?
brush and your beautiful
Okay,
eyeshadow palette.
I
It's the
can't.
eyeshadow palette. Okay.
yes.
Where must I go?
So go
There you go.
You've got it.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Remember, you're
Okay.
going to someone
Where's your
else's
eyes?
Now, you must keep your eyes closed.
And then my eyes is
that right?
closed.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you feel me?
I can feel you. Yeah, I
Okay.
got you. Okay, where's the brush?
Yeah, yes. Okay.
Jen,
Okay, where are you?
Okay,
I got it. I got it.
yes, you
I
got
think
you know,
so.
like
I can't.
Grant, like the solar
Okay, I'm going to do one eye.
Yeah.
You can build,
Okay.
so makeup can be
I do
built.
both?
You don't have to go all in with one color.
I'm gonna do a Jackson Pollock. No?
Okay, wait. Okay, are we good?
Okay.
The right.
To the right.
Oh, we're gonna win. We're gonna win this one.
Yes,
I can feel it. And then.
And then go down, go down, go down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to.
These were such beautiful makeup palettes before they started.
What I'm gonna do is
We're going to do some blush now.
Okay, yeah.
Some blush, yes. I think a cream
To the left
blush.
again. Where are you?
Cream blush. So you take
Okay, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay,
You got it.
have I got it?
Yes, next.
Am I being gentle enough?
Yes, now to the
Aim
right.
for it with your cheek.
Let's go.
You just aim for it with your cheek. Just move your cheek. I'm gonna keep dead still.
Does this go on your lips?
Yeah, it goes on your cheeks, and then it's like cream.
There we go. Hey, technique.
Some blush.
Okay, next one.
I think this is the blush. The cream
And then do I need to like rub it in with the brush? Okay, I need a brush.
brush. Here's the
Okay.
brush.
Doctor, I need a brush. Thank you.
Okay, down.
Sorry.
Okay,
Okay, and then
Yes,
And then
yes.
just
Were you
blend.
feeling?
Blend.
Yes.
Just blend. Keep blending.
just a little bit.
When in doubt, blend.
Okay. Let's go this side.
I don't
Sorry.
think Lorenzo needs lipstick, but I feel
Yes,
like
we do.
he needs some lipstick.
Okay, well then over here.
What color are you feeling?
You want a brush?
I feel like, yeah, give me a...
lipsticks.
Give me,
No, we got a
Okay.
brush.
Okay, we've got
Okay.
a 12 seconds
I'm
left.
gonna you just go in. on the-
Okay.
where are you?
Yeah.
8, 7,
Get the lipstick.
Lipstick, where's the lipstick?
Lipstick.
Pout. Pout.
1.
Pout.
There we go.
We win!
Okay, I feel like you guys need to take your blindfolds off and have a look at what you
Oh
did.
no! Look how beautiful I look.
I told you in good hands.
It's the eyeshadow up here.
What happened?
Blend.
I wanted to blend, but
When you say blend, you can't blend in the dark.
eyeshadow though.
The eyeshadow is
in the
good.
dark.
I'm sorry, can we just have a close-up on the eyeshadow? I think that counts for
Ewan
something.
did really well with the eyeshadow.
Look at that, it's beautiful.
Spend most of the time on
Plant
the eyes.
vangetjies, dis baie mooi.
Vangetjies baie rooi.
Cheating.
And this is a
Cheating.
new,
He must have
style of putting on lipstick.
I'm so sorry. We forgot to tell you we don't have makeup wipes, so you're going to look like that for the rest of the day.
All day, guys, all day.
We should have warned you. Oh, listen, we're
I'm
just
sorry,
having
I
some fun
apologize.
and games. But of course, we do know load shedding is serious, but hopefully you can find the humor in it too. But stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast show. We've got more of the shenanigans on its way.
I'm matching. We're matching.
Aww.
Make my day. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beauties. Thank you so much for rejoining the conversation this morning, having an absolute cracker for our Workers' Day. Hopefully you are feeling the same. And just to inspire us a little more, we are reconnecting with one of our favorite singer-songwriter. And of course, yes, the front man of Prime Circle, but South African musical royalty, Ross Learmonth. Of course, Ross, you and I have known each other for many moons. Dude, I'm going to say very personally, to that gravelly old voice of yours, thank you for getting me through some of the toughest moments of my life, bro. I can remember moments sitting in my car where I just didn't have anything in me. And knowing you, and knowing that voice, and hearing that emotional connection, you've literally pulled me through some of the darkest moments of my life, bro. I'm not alone. Yeah. Do you feel now, as you embark on the solo journey, the music matters? It's different now?
Yeah, man, it's always, thanks for that. I mean, hearing people, when a story comes back like that, it's always better, you know? When people sing along, it's beautiful, but when it resonates, that's something, you know? And you're always trying to make music that people can really use in their lives, you know, and feel. That's the whole point. Yeah.
Because it comes from a real place within you.
Yeah.
How different is that place when you've got to do it solo?
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, I try to do it different so it doesn't sound too much like the band. I don't want to do something that sounds like a Prime Circle record, so that was a big thing for me. So it actually like tie one hand behind my back and try and do something in a different way. So yeah, it is a different thing. Yeah.
And what a joy to open up this whole new window to see the world in.
Yeah.
What are you going to be performing for us now, and take us inside that narrative?
So Wild, this is a song that I wrote about 7 years ago. I've had it in my pocket for that long, that little like niggling feeling to try and release a song, get it out, and then the world ended, and then all these things. So it's just a song about sort of how we're always like on a mission to be somewhere, and we're all in the wilderness in some way. So sort of how can people sort of love you as who you are and what you're about? Yeah.
And we do, bro.
Sure.
We do love you for who you are and what you're about, because you can do this. So let's do it. Here it is. Wild. Wild. I know it feels like it is the craziest world right now, and if you don't have a person who's willing to love you in the wild and take you as you are, we will be that person collectively for you. But just connect with us. On this Workers' Day, know it's about connection. Thank you so much for putting this in context for us. We're here for you, and he is here for us for the rest of the show. So don't move a muscle and go and download that right now.
Thank you so much, Graham. 2 minutes just before 8 o'clock this morning. Let's get into a last round of your news headlines. Starting off with national news. Another bodyguard of the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Fort Hare has died. He was traveling between Conseil and Alice when a bakkie hit his car on the driver's side, killing him instantly. Earlier this year, Mboneli Vesele, the driver for the Vice-Chancellor, Prof. Sakela Buhlungu, was killed in Alice. The incident comes as 5 suspects will again appear in the Alice Magistrates Court on Thursday.
Hosts raced a 3-0 in the first half before being pegged back in that 93rd minute, only for Diogo Jota to net the winner 2 minutes later. So 2 goals in injury time. Crazy stuff. The Man United, they beat a very spirited Aston Villa 1-0, while there were also wins for Newcastle, Brighton and Crystal Palace, all enjoying unbelievable seasons in what has been an unprecedented Premier League year. Then let's bring it back home for continental duties for our champions. Mamelodi Sundowns have booked their spot in the CAF Champions League semi-finals. That was after beating Algerian outfit CR Belouizdad 2-1 in Pretoria on Saturday. And that victory, enough for the PSL champions to seal a 6-2 aggregate victory, having won that first leg convincingly 4-1 away from home last weekend. But some juggernauts in the mix as well. Al Ahly, they're also through to the last 4. It was after a less convincing 0-0 draw up against Raja Casablanca, as the Egyptians advanced 2-0 on aggregate. Then Esperance and Virat complete that incredibly strong semi-final lineup. Then we move to MotoGP, so close yet so far away for South Africa's Brad Binder. He secured 2nd place in the Spanish Grand Prix in Jerez. The Red Bull KTM MotoGP rider had the lead of the race on lap 1, and he maintained that position throughout until defending champion Franco Bagnaia. He passed him on lap 20 of 24. And then Jack Miller came in to complete the podium. So Binder had won that sprint race on Saturday to send out the early message, and he qualified 4th for the race. The South African now currently 3rd in the overall standings after the weekend behind Marco Bazzetti and then, of course, Francesco Bagnaia. Now let's go to four wheels and still plenty of drama. Sergio Perez won Sunday's Azerbaijan Grand Prix with teammate Max Verstappen in second to ram home Red Bull's supremacy over the rest of the Formula One grid at the moment. Ferrari did get a little glimmer of hope. Pole sitter Charles Leclerc, he completed the podium. Really respectable third place considering the season they've had. Then Perez, the winner of Saturday's sprint in Baku, he cut Verstappen's lead in the Drivers' Championship to 6 points now after the fourth round of the record 23 race season. It's going to be a long one and it's going to be exciting. We love the sound of that. Hopefully that's got nothing to do with the actual traffic this morning. I hope that's really boring this morning. Let's get the latest out on our roads.
Thank you, Graham. And we start off with traffic in Durban. There are roadworks taking place on the N2 bi-directional between Umhlanga Interchange and Umhloti Interchange. Lanes are restricted, so please approach with caution. Then in the Free State, there's been a bus and a truck accident in Swinburne, north of the N3. Use an alternative route to avoid any delays. Then in Midrand, there's been a multi-vehicle accident on the N1 northbound at Allendale Road. The left shoulder is closed. Please drive carefully. That's a wrap of your traffic. Let's take a final look at your weather. And we start off with some environmental news. This morning, we have good news regarding the environment and especially the oxygen tank of the world, that's the Amazon. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has decreed 6 new indigenous reserves, banning mining and restricting commercial farming there. The reserves include a vast area of Amazon rainforest covering some 1.5 million acres. Lula, who took office in January, has pledged to reverse policies of his far-right predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro, who promoted mining in indigenous lands. Lula said he wished to legalize indigenous lands and didn't want any indigenous territory to be left without demarcation during his government. Indigenous leaders have welcomed the move, and recent years have seen an alarming rise in deforestation of the Amazon rainforest, a crucial buffer in the global fight against climate change. The new reserves are in central Brazil as well as in the country's northeast and south. Well, that's your international news. Let's bring it back to your sunrise views. For your 8 a.m. update, Niklaas Meyer shared this beautiful image of the beautiful sky over the Hartenbos area. Absolutely breathtaking. Then Karen from Warner Beach shared this image of her morning view with the sun lighting up the sky. What a great way to start off your day. Sherry Ludick from Kimberley shared her view with the cloudy blue sky and look at the cloud cover breaking through. And Dini from Kacha's Neck shared her image of the wispy clouds across the blue sky. So thank you for that, Dini. Now, if you have a beautiful sunrise view to share with us, we would love to see it. Our number is on your screen right now. It's 063 408 8863. But here's a final look at those temperatures. Starting off in Polokwane, 11 is your low, 25 your high. Mpumbela 15.27, Pretoria 14.25, Johannesburg 14 with a high of 23. If you're in Mahikeng, 14 is your low, 28 your high. Partly cloudy conditions in Klerksdorp, 15 with a high of 28. It's sunny in Kimberley, 10 with a high of 30. Bloemfontein, 6 reaching a high of 27. If you are in Richards Bay, 19 is your low, 28 your high. Pietermaritzburg, 14.27. Durban 19 with a high of 25, Mthatha 9 with a high of 28, East London 15.25, Cradock 6 with a high of 29, Gqeberha, your low is 14, your high 24, George 10 reaching a high of 20, Cape Town 14 with a high of 19, Worcester 8.26, Sutherland 4.23, and Uppington expect a sunny day, your low is 8, your high 34 degrees Celsius. Well, that's where we leave your weather for now on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Lots more to come on your Feel Good Breakfast Show this morning. Grant, you are sticking around with us, I believe, my friend.
I am. We're going to be talking about, load shedding solutions.
Yeah, that's our big topic of the morning on this Workers' Day, load shedding. It's affecting us all as South Africans. We're going to bring you some tips. We're talking about going off the grid. What does that exactly mean? What should we look into? And we're also going to be hearing from you on the street, whether you think load shedding will end or not. We'll talk about that after the break. Stick around.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It has been the most enriching conversation as we focus on load shedding. It's been positive. Yes, there's been a renewed energy and vigor around this conversation. Why? Because we are becoming solution-based, and we love engaging with you to find out more about your opinion. In fact, that's where the real insights happen. So we thought we'd hit the streets to find out if you think load shedding is going to come to an end anytime soon.
Load shedding is never going to end, ever. I think load shedding is going to come to an end because there's a lot of corruption in that business, and I just feel like with no changes in like the management, I don't feel like it's going to change. Nothing's going to change.
Load shedding won't come to an end. No, not anytime soon.
I think one day we're going to wake up and it's going to be load shedding for 24 hours. So I don't think it's gonna stop anytime soon, but I hope it does. I really hope it does.
Sure. And there we have it, the word on the streets. Yeah, you can see a lot of people, you know, taking load shedding on the back and say, hey, we don't think it's going to end like that one gent say we're going to wake up in 24 hours of no electricity. But, you know, it is a real deal that we are dealing with, and we are continuing that conversation of load shedding and how it's turned our world completely upside down. Now, going off the grid is a term that continues to gain popularity worldwide, but how feasible is it for everyday South Africans? Now, this morning, Stephen Hoy from First Energy Solutions joins us. Stephen, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
It's great, thank you.
Lovely to have you.
It's great. When you hear that kind of pessimistic outlook on life, you must be thinking, for sure, because this is my business, this is my space. I love the fact that the majority of people who are arriving in this pivotal position are purpose-driven. You've been doing this for a while. You haven't just jumped on an opportunity now that the market's been opened up.
Correct.
You've been thinking about how to structure off-the-grid life for a while. Now the environment around that conversation is changing. But what does that mean when you think, okay, let's take someone off the grid? What does off the grid actually mean in the context of South Africa?
Look, going off the grid is basically disconnecting yourself from all utilities. So in other words, no Eskom, no city, and you're going to be completely reliant on your own power and your own generation. So that presents a lot of problems. First of all, is you can't phone anybody to say my power's out. Yeah, your problem.
And you just cut the market in half.
Correct, yeah. So going off the grid is really about a lifestyle choice, whether you're deciding to really work on saving the environment and also to make a difference to cost of living.
Yeah.
But it's going to require quite a lifestyle change, you know. No dishwashers, no big fancy washing machines, you know, and it's going to cost an enormous amount of money.
We spoke about that a little bit earlier on in terms of the cost of kind of safeguarding yourself around load shedding. And when you talk about the term going off the grid, I mean, for us South Africans, I mean, how feasible is that really?
Not at all. Yeah, it's
short and sweet.
Yeah,
it's not at all. For the average South African, it's just not going to work. The amount of battery and the amount of solar that you need, and the amount of space that you need. Yeah, in the average house, there's just not enough roof space to actually put enough solar on. And then the part that they don't tell you is now you're going to actually need a big diesel generator to do your backup as well. Because what happens if your solar doesn't work?
And the expertise, the systems to manage this flow of energy.
Correct.
Beautiful new front line. Have had the opportunity to see the bigger picture, the tip of the spear, if you will. Really excited about where we are going in that sense. But it's going to need to get traction where people need it most, i.e. the poorest of South Africa's population are going to need to have access to this at some point. And we know there's some deals and there's some great initiatives, but what does the solution in your kind of experience and understanding look like for everyday South Africans? What should we be focusing on as the next step, do you think?
It's really about what you want to achieve with your system. So a lot of people just want lights, TV, internet.
Yeah,
they're pretty much happy. Yeah,
that's it.
Absolute basics. And also it's about affordability. You know, a lot of South Africans out there have got a bit of money, so they've decided they want to just carry on living.
Yeah.
Yeah, but none of that really involves getting off the grid. All of it involves still using our grid. Our grid is our backup. Our grid is our secondary source of power. So our solar then complements that power, but it does not make us completely independent of it.
For sure.
Which brings us to hybrid systems.
Yes.
Now, I think just if you could unpack hybrid systems for us, and I mean, you know, what are your thoughts on a hybrid system, you know, that you can look at for your home to kind of safeguard us from load shedding?
Yeah, hybrid is the future. That's where we're looking at. Basically, what the hybrid system is previous solar systems were used to save money, so they would work with the grid. We called them grid-tied systems. And then we had inverter systems, like with the UPS for your computer. That was a UPS battery-based system. And some clever person put them both together and called it a hybrid system. So we've got the best of both worlds. So that's the best solution for South Africa at the moment, because
more cost-effective.
It's much more cost-effective. And also you can, we sort of call it pay as you grow, where you can install your hybrid system. Yeah, and you can install your batteries, then you use it as an inverter. And then later on, when you do get some more money, then you can add some more solar. And then you can keep adding solar as you go to eventually get to the point where your costs is minimal and your life carries on as it always was before load shedding.
I absolutely love that. One piece of advice personally from someone who's lived in the space on the front line and now has to be kind of our true north to take us out of the darkness. Well, what do you live by when you look at your own economical and electricity ecosystem? What advice would you have for those that are feeling the pinch right now?
It's very tough. You know, I've been sort of independent of power myself for many, many years. When I go and visit friends and that, then you start to see, you know, where the reality kicks in, that, you know, how difficult it is to actually live without power. And one has got to start with looking at the most efficient devices you can buy for your house, your A++ type products. Look at just the way you live as well, you know. You know, the way you actually operate all your equipment, your pool pumps, your timing, even going to as far as driving to the shop, you know. Do you have to drive to the shop 3 times in one day, or can you do it once? You know, it's just reducing that carbon footprint. It's better for the environment. And at the end of the day, if you start to live like that, it's actually better for your pocket as well.
Absolutely.
It's taking responsibility, ultimately.
Stephen, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I mean, you can only imagine that Stephen and his team has got a wealth of knowledge. And if you want to tap into that, just log on to their website, firstenergy.co.za.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, we started the show off this morning with our Good Morning Post, and we are talking load shedding. So this morning we asked you the following. Load shedding is now part of our everyday schedule as South Africans. How has your life changed due to load shedding? Are you doing things you've never done before, or buying things you've never bought before? Share those voice notes and those comments with us, and this is what you had to say. Anthea says, good morning, family. Yes, this is like second nature to me now. I check the schedule on a daily basis. I work around it because I'm at home, so when I know it's going to be off at 10 a.m., I see that all my cooking, washing is done. by the time it goes off. So there's enough food for lunch and supper. I warm it later in the microwave before it goes off again. It definitely affected everyone. So now we eat earlier, go to bed earlier. I put the geyser on at least 2 hours per day so we can have hot water, as everything works with electricity. I have no gas in my household, tend to invest in a gas stove and a kettle heater soon as it's extremely cold in my place once I'm employed. But Anthea, we love what you've said here, and I love how well you plan your day, so thank you for that. Let's look at what Wahida says, saying, good morning, Expresso team. Load shedding definitely controls our lives nowadays. Everything we plan revolves around load shedding. The worst part being in a supermarket, load shedding kicks in and they announce no card payments as everything is offline. Ooh, that is a tricky one, because I know a lot of people don't carry cash, physical cash with them. But if you want to be part of this conversation, we love hearing from you. Comment on our social media post on Facebook or send us those voice notes. We would love to hear your voice. Our number is 063-408-8863. We will be unpacking more load shedding shortly.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this Workers' Day Monday morning. Now, we love engaging with you to find out what your opinion is. So we took to the streets to find out how load shedding has affected your everyday lifestyles.
I'm an artist, so sometimes I can't record because of load shedding. So that's my problem with load shedding.
Load shedding has affected me in such a way that I'm a student, right? And I have assignments to deal with every day, and you know there are many tasks that we need to do. So sometimes you can't even do that in the day because there's load shedding and have to postpone it for the next coming days, and that is frustrating, I don't want to lie.
I've been privileged enough to have solar panels at my house, but before that it would affect my schoolwork, when I eat, what I eat, and all of the above.
Everything that I do is basically on the phone, and if there's no network, if I can't charge my phone, if it kind of just messes up the whole day.
Load shedding has affected my day-to-day when in terms of coming to school, coming to campus, traffic, and then at night when it's time to study, you have to use the internet. There's no network, so yeah, it's affecting me coming to school and then school-wise. That's how it affects me.
So basically on every level of life, in every way that's possible, every day. That's how load shedding affects most of us. But I love the fact that there is a realism about this, even within an amazing young population that kind of get it. And I think popular alternative energy solutions are now getting some momentum. Like solar panels, obviously, they are quite expensive though. That high-end tip of the spear, a little bit inaccessible, I say loosely, to most of us. So up next, we're going to open up that door a little bit. And we've got Mike Vannevelder from Lighthouse. Remember that name. A business that provides solar bulbs and other solutions, a more affordable lighting solution for inside and outside your home during load shedding. And because they are just so cool, we brought Grant Hines in to stick it into his mouth to light up the bulb because it's just so interesting. We've been making him do this all morning. Mike, congratulations for being here. And I say that because there was a timing involved with most of the guests that we have on the show. Your time has come, my friend. But it didn't just happen. You've been building towards this point for a while, and now you've got a product that seems to offer almost the perfect balance. Lighthouse seems amazing, buddy.
Thank you, Graham. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a privilege to be on the show. Thank you.
Listen, let's start talking about it. Solar bulbs. I mean, why is this a great solution? Let's throw it out there for everyday South Africans.
So I think we've been speaking a lot about how, like, getting big solar installations on your house and big inverters and generators can be quite expensive. And this is a solution that is a lot more affordable with a much lower upfront cost to provide any sufficient light to any area within the house. So it's a solar bulb string lights. This is one of our main sellers. We've got a range of different products. But what's great about this product, I can say a few things. The one thing is, living in South Africa, the one thing that many South Africans do is leave on lights on the outdoor area for security reasons.
We have to do it.
And I think what's great about these lights is that with the solar panel, it's got a built-in light sensor. So it actually goes on at night and then it turns off when the sun comes up and then it charges within the day. So you're saving obviously electricity, but you can place it anywhere in the house, even an area where it has a window or outside your veranda. And because it's a string of lights, it actually can really light up an area quite nicely. Yeah.
Sure, I like that.
I absolutely love that because it gives us those accessible tools that we can use, and it also absolutely looks beautiful. How do we go about when we want to set up something like this? What do you take your clients through in terms of setting up their own solution? Because I know this is only one of the kind of many tools that you can use.
Yes. So, yeah, how we've designed our lights is it must be very DIY and easy to set up. So with these string lights, I can even open up and show you guys quickly. So as you can see, I've actually already screwed in all the bulbs just to make it a lot easier for the show. But you've got 10 bulbs on the string, and then you've got a solar...
10 meter string of lights.
Wow. Then you've got a solar panel here, which if you wanted to, you could actually charge up through a micro USB, but obviously the solar works well, just in case you had maybe some really bad weather.
Rainy days or something,
Exactly. So yeah, the setup's quite easy because you've got a fork that can go into the ground, so you can put the solar panel into the ground, or you can actually screw the solar panel into a panel or a wooden pole, let's say, and then when hanging up the lights, you can either just hang them and string them. You could, if you wanted to, use a screw and actually attach it onto the panel, or even some people use a lead wire and then they use just cable ties to just put it along the lead wire.
Steampunk, bro. Go steampunk. Metal additions.
Look,
absolutely brilliant.
Add a nice little addition to your home as well, making it look nice.
They look beautiful.
Quickly, Grant, you also brought a couple of things with you.
Yeah, that's a great solution. And some of these aren't solar solutions, but you do get light bulbs with batteries in them already that charge when... for instance, the load shedding is not on.
When there is power.
Yeah, when there is power. So that's why that goes on when I touch the positive and negative.
You are the grid.
so you get different kinds. You get obviously the bayonet ones and the downlighters. So they will just replace your traditional bulbs in your house. We've got this. This is it's a power supply UPS that's designed specifically for routers. So you keep the internet on. I think every South African that has got internet needs one of these as one of the first purchases that they.
I've also lost 2 routers through this.
Yeah, exactly. This saves your router. Well, there we go. You lost 2 routers. This would have been your solution. And they also supply power over Ethernet for your security cameras and so on. So you have your string lights outside and have your security cameras on to have a look and see what's going on. And then, of course, we spoke a little bit about it earlier, but the surge protector. I think just because of what's happening with insurance and your big appliances to save your TVs and your fridges and your washing machines and so on, having a surge protector, they're inexpensive. It's a begrudging purchase because nobody wants to get this stuff.
For sure.
But I think it's necessary to do it. And then obviously, I love what Lighthouse are doing with these solar panels. I've got something similar at home, but I want to upgrade to that. But you create like outside environments that just look friendly and nice, so that load shedding isn't like, oh no, it's load shedding. You're like, it's a cute. I remember when load shedding started and candles were like,
it's romantic.
Like we tired of candles now. We want string lights.
I think that's been a big motivation for Lighthouse, is actually setting that atmosphere. And that goes into our mission, is creating better, brighter moments. So we sponsor a lot of events and weddings. And I think, we want to create outdoor areas, indoor areas, make it a space that during load shedding, it can actually be a joy. Bring a family together, human connectedness.
Because we own our baggage in South Africa, baby. We assimilate, we take it on board.
And then make it nice.
And then we create amazing solutions. So kudos to you, my friend. I look forward to the next evolution of your business, because I think you are going to help a lot of people. Lighthouse, that's L-I-T-E, house.co.za if you want more of these kinds of solutions.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. Well, listen, when load shedding and Eskom takes our lights, we bring our digital content producer to bring us the light in his outfit. Bas Newman, he is here, and we're about to take a look at TikTok, unpacking some of those amazing hacks that you might have. Well, stay tuned for that. Well, he is definitely bright. He is on your screens. Bas Newman, he is here. And we're going to look at those TikToks that just creates that savviness that I love about TikTok. Because I think, TikTok's more than just about the dancing. There are some really cool hacks that comes from it. So, Bas, let's take a look at the first one. Now, when the lights go out, you don't have to be stuck in the dark. We have actress Sandy Schultz showing us just how.
Let there be light. I have another load shedding hack for you. You need a roll of LED lights and some double-sided tape, which I just bought from the crazy store. Cut it to size and then stick it on the back, and then, come, I'll show you. I stuck that roll of LED lights right against the top of the wall and the ceiling, and brought it down into the corner. Now, this roll has the electrical attachment. Plugged into my UPS is the other side of this electrical attachment. Now, when the power goes out, all I need to do is attach the two ends, and the UPS will power the LED light, and
and then there was light.
Clever, eh?
Very clever. I think people are using fairy lights. That is a clever hack to plug it into a UPS.
And also you can get those in like different colors. So you can have a party. Who says load shedding has to be boring?
Who says it has to be boring? Well, let's take a look at this next TikTok, because if you don't have a gas stove and you want to keep cooking during the power outages, then TikTokers Arena has an affordable and very effective solution.
If you don't have a gas stove like this, you really need to invest in one. It's absolutely convenient and easy to use. We woke up in the morning around 4:15 and it was load shedding, and we needed to have something to eat before we start our fast. So I used this gas stove. It's about the 6th time I used this gas stove so far, so let's see how long that one can last. I made some cheese toast, but that frying pan was not doing the thing, so I went for old school way, the normal tower. And after that we made some tea hot, and it was just perfect.
Oh, see, that is very handy. I know a lot of people don't have gas stoves or the space for that, so that's a nice little hack.
I worked on a traveling cooking show once, right? And we used those stoves, And 1 can of gas can go between 2 and 3 hours. So you can cook like a proper meal on one of those.
And those are the small little gas canisters, right? So I'm sure you also get those that fit the bigger gas bottles, so you can definitely get a lot of use out of it. Now let's move over to the next TikTok. This TikToker goes by the name Just a Mom with a Drill, and she shows us another easy DIY to make sure you're not stuck in the dark. Well, what is that hack that she did there?
So it's almost as though she created like a battery fitting for the light to go on, so that the light thinks that there's a power source, but it's not. But it's obviously like those load shedding bulbs like you said you have.
Oh, yes. Okay. I think parental advice.
I also think so.
It's not one I would try on my own. I'm just saying. But let's take a look at this one. Jack's Justice, however, is on the opinion that if you can't use an appliance because of load shedding, then find another use for it. Let's check this one out.
Babe,
Ja.
wat maak jy?
Ek pak die vuurmaak hout in sy houer.
Dis ons stoof.
Dis nie meer 'n stoof nie. Met al die load shedding werk die ding in elk geval nie. Die enigste stoof wat 'n Suid-Afrikaner het hier is daar, is 'n braai.
Okay, so you can find other things. You can use it as a storage
There's
unit.
one thing about South Africans, they make the best out of everything.
They do. And you know what? In times like this, you need humor and a bright outfit.
Wow.
Bass definitely brought the bright outfit for us. Well, there we have it. Thank you, Bass, for joining us. Of course, we are here to help you deal with load shedding. Let us know what hacks you've come across, or perhaps which have helped you deal with load shedding, and show us what you are up to by tagging us on TikTok at Expresso Show.
Whenever you have something really cold, and then you get this short, sharp kind of sensation, that's sensitivity. It can get worse. The problem is not going to go away by itself. I always recommend Sensodyne. It's specially designed to care for their sensitive teeth. And I've had people coming back to me saying it's made a difference. It works.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
See it, read it, Ushuni, Wokozi FM. We are so excited to have our broader family come in studio to join us. Sibongi Nkobo, Ukhozi FM business manager, one of the biggest radio stations in Africa. People don't understand how big this footprint is. It's bigger than TV land, baby. And I'm not joking. Now, following the success of the launch of Ukhozi FM's lifestyle brand, Ushuni Ukhozi FM, back in November of 2022, the station brought you Izim Badada, a modern take on Zulu traditional sandals. And now the station is proud to launch It's winter range, baby. We absolutely love it. Smoggy is here, and she's brought us some gifts. Yes,
I
you notice
feel
we have
so
changed.
fancy.
You are?
I love this. I love the color. It's striking. It pops exactly. It's lovely to have you. Welcome to you.
So I must say this. No, we're not one of the biggest stations. We are the biggest station.
No, for sure, baby, because people don't realize the reach of radio. So every town, every house in this country has a radio, and you reach them.
Absolutely.
Of the people, for the people. I love it.
And now you have this.
Hey.
An entire clothing range, which is phenomenal. Firstly, what motivated this step for the radio station?
So our listeners love our station, you know, and what they started doing is that they started buying their own T-shirts and putting our logo on it.
Wow.
Because they wanted to be, you know, associated with this. Yeah,
It shows you how strong that following is.
So the demand was there already. So we were like, okay, so
why not?
let's create a clothing brand, and here we are.
What is the uptake been like now that there's obviously been the demand? You have this emotional connection to your listeners like no one else. How have they responded now that you've taken this step?
Our listeners are so excited. So we started with the shoes, which are a traditional Zulu shoe. So in the times of Shaka Zulu back in the day, they used to go to war in these shoes, and they'd run for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers wearing the shoes. So this is something that people wear, you know, at traditional events and all of that. So we thought, okay, let's start with the shoe. The shoe did so well. So we started this in November, yes.
Beautiful.
So we started in November, and the sales in December were just incredible. You know, we sold, gosh, thousands of pairs. And we saw that, you know, people love this, and we're now into winter. So sandals are not popular in winter.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, hey, let's do a winter range.
We need hoodies.
And now now we have a whole tracksuit. We've got a dress. We've got bucket hats. We've got beanies. The world's our oyster, really.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's manufactured locally.
Yes,
locally
absolutely.
made. And how does that tap in and tie into the radio station as a brand?
So we are proudly South African.
Yeah.
You know, we're the biggest brand on the continent, but we are very proudly South African. And we worked with a guy called Reggie Kaba, who is a Durbanite. He's from Durban, and he makes shoes, and he made the shoes. And now we are doing the tracksuits and the dress, as I had mentioned, and we're doing that through Jam Clothing, which is also a South African brand. So we really are about pushing South African brands.
And I don't think people realize, if you empower one small company, how many people that can affect. And that's the lifeblood of this country.
Absolutely.
We need to help these small and medium-sized businesses grow. What this represents to me, and I'm going to get quite kind of, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second, but so often we'll see commercial drives telling us where in life we sit.
Yes.
They tell us that our culture is there. They tell a young child exactly where you sit in the socio-economic scheme of things by the style of the advert, what we have access to. This says so much about where you are as a brand, that you can now potentialize and make money out of this, create opportunities for business owners. But all through this, you're telling your listeners what they're worth, what they deserve. There is something powerful in that. Where do you want to take it? Now that you've discovered, I mean, you could become a global fashion house. You've got the market already there.
Look, we have close to 8 million listeners that tune into our radio station every week. And we just want to tell our listeners that we love them so much. And because they showed us that they want something, we've then responded to that. And that's what, of course, FM is about. We listen to what our listeners say, and then we make sure that we then respond to what their needs and their wants are. So yes, we are just about that. We really, really want to show them that they are important to us and they matter.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see how this fashion angle is going to develop as part of the radio station as well.
This is the thing. We are taking radio to another level, though.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not just radio anymore.
It's people.
We've done it all. I mean,
a lifestyle.
yeah, it's a lifestyle, but also, I mean, just to talk about something else that we've done, we've got, of course, FM TV. So we've got a vodcast that we do as a station. So again, we know that our younger listeners love to see visual. So they they love to see our presenters. They love to see content. And it's not about listening only. So we've created that. So it's all about responding to the demand that's created by our listeners.
Yeah.
How do we buy it? How do we get it? Where do we get it?
Well,
Online, obviously.
so we are at Jam stores nationwide. So anywhere you can find a Jam clothing store, that's where you'll find our clothing.
if it's still left on the rails.
And there
because
we
I have
have
a feeling
it.
it's going to go really quickly.
If you were asking how much, you can see it is definitely very much affordable. Sweatpants, $275, hoodie, $275. I mean, come on. I mean, I love the fact that you kept that in mind as well with regards to the price point.
It's very important that you know, we make it something that is accessible to our listeners. So we also thought about that, and we were very intentional about this brand and our clothing range. So yeah, everyone can get.
As we understand, as of the 2nd of May, officially,
Tomorrow.
which means that we've got these before anyone else, which is absolutely amazing. But I love this representation of culture, of connection, of community. Yes, because of how it looks, it's amazing. It's a great representation, but it matters because it's advancing clothing manufacturers. It's advancing the entire market, and it proves how much you, the listener, and yes, our viewers, how much you matter to this broader family, because you really, really do. And now you can just look amazing.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You'll find a Jam store tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, team. Well, listen, we are still continuing the conversation of load shedding, because as much as we hate to admit it, load shedding, it is unfortunately here to stay. And this morning, we want to share some of our favorite load shedding hacks with you, and hopefully they will really light up your life when the lights are out. And hopefully these can come handy. Bass, you're here to show us some really cool hacks.
100%. So, very simple things you can do, but hopefully they'll help our viewers at home, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So first one, we already covered beauty in the dark, which I don't know if it worked so well.
It's more of a game.
What I've got for you is something that I've seen online is you wake up and you realize that the stage has changed while you were sleeping, and now you're in the dark. You had to put on the shirt for work this morning. It's a mess.
What do you do if your clothing needs a bit of an iron?
So,
load shedding.
A cute hack that I saw, which I don't know if I'm 100% convinced, but a spritz bottle. And basically what they say you need to do is spritz your item, right?
With a bit of water?
With a bit of water. And what they're saying is air dry it, but as it dries, just slowly push out the creases. I don't know. I feel like it could.
It could.
But we'll see.
We need to try that out. So what are we putting it on the scale?
I'm gonna go halfway.
It's halfway, because we haven't been able to prove it yet.
The other thing that you can do is when you shower, so this is saving water, using the water vapor, you know,
the steam.
Put your clothes in the bathroom, hang it there, and then the steam should take out the creases.
Okay, so clearly moisture is the thing we want
100%.
with when it comes to ironing your clothes during load shedding.
Then we saw that this little gas burner can do a world of wonders for us, right? So it can cook your meals, do whatever you need to do. But another cute thing is you can get one of these little gas kettles, pop them on here, boil your water, and then to keep it warm, just put it in a flask so you can grab that cup of coffee at any time during the power outages as well.
And if you don't have one of these gas burners, check the schedule, boil your water before the schedule says you're going to have electricity out, and then pop it into one of these flasks. See, it's all the camping things are coming handy for load shedding.
Outdoor, indoor vibes.
Now, cooking, the Wonder Bag. This has been around for some time.
It has. And if you don't know about it, where you been? Where you been? You know what I'm
Talk to
saying?
me. How do we use the Wonder Bag?
So basically, we go back to our stove. You start your food on here. So you bring it to the boil. Once it's come to the boil, you pop your pot in there. Do you have the lid there next to you?
The lid is, we just put it down. This is the lid.
Yes. So you pop the lid in there, close it up, and this will continue cooking your food for you. So the other day, I made an oxtail for some friends that came over for dinner, and it was about to be load shedding. Pop the pot in here.
So you just close it like this?
You close it up with a...
that's the string I was looking for.
And then you put it in here, it continues cooking. The other benefit of it is it also keeps your food warm.
Okay.
So, for example, if you made it earlier, just before load shedding, when it's dinner time, you can still have a nice warm plate of food.
So I'm thinking now, you took it from that hot stove into here.
there.
This thing doesn't burn.
It doesn't burn.
Doesn't burn. And then how long does it cook your food for?
So depending on how long you need the food to cook for, I had to cook my oxtail for another hour. Popped it in there, the meat was falling off that bone.
Ooh.
Promise you.
And that's what you want. And what a great energy-saving hack as well.
I've got one last tip that's for our viewers, because, you know, a lot of them are coming on the social media and being like, oh, I missed the show this morning.
We've
those
been
types of things.
offline.
We've been offline, that type of thing. So grab your phone, go onto YouTube, right? Go to Expresso Show's page. You'll get all of our videos there.
Look at
and what you can do is you can download the episodes to watch later. So during load shedding, catch up on the shows that you miss.
But entertainment for the whole family. Bass Newman, thank you for showing us these great hacks. I think we are all here for the hacks to just make life a little bit better. And tell us if you've maybe tried any of these hacks and share them with us. You can do so on our WhatsApp line. We'd love to hear from you. Our number is 063 408 8863.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And if you've just joined us and you're wondering what are we wearing, this is the incredible new clothing range from Okosi FM. Check it out in Jam stores from tomorrow. But right now, to close off the show for us, joining us once again, singer-songwriter, the front man of Prime Circle and South African royalty, Ross Learmonth. Dude, first time I'm chatting to you. Can I just shake your hand, my friend? Good to see you, man.
Good to be seen. Thank you.
Yeah, have you been having a good morning with us?
It's been great, yeah. Getting up nice and early to see you guys, but it's been awesome. I'm loving the energy. I love the show, and good to be on.
I mean, you've been a friend of the show for many years, dude.
You.
But it's also nice to have seen how you've evolved and how your music evolved and the directions that you've taken it in as well. I want to quickly chat shortly after the official release of your latest album. You hosted a show that featured Jesse Clegg and Majosi as well. What was the show all about? And is this something that could potentially build on?
It's something, I called it a big day out because I want to turn it into a big night out as well, something that I'm going to be working on. And it just proved how much we're all just big fans of each other in the industry. Everyone came to sort of help me launch my record, and I now owe them all a bunch of favors. So I'll be playing a lot of their shows soon. But I think it's beautiful to see how everyone's just like really like encouraging each other and just wants to see everyone flourish. You know?
But this is also something that the nice thing that I notice about the South African music industry is really that you're so close-knit with everyone. Everyone wants to jump in and help and kind of build on each other's careers as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's good to see that everyone's sort of just following each other and helping push each other.
Yeah. But listen, up until this point, I know you and I actually had a chat a little while ago, but how's this journey been now? Have you been enjoying it? I mean, it's a different kind of trajectory for you.
Yeah, it's a lot more work.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work. And balancing the two things, you know, so, but it's great. It's like, it's learning a bunch of new skills and realizing how a lot of things slipped in the past, and I'm trying to do different things this way. But just music, it's a musical journey for me. I mean, I have no choice. I have to do music.
Yeah, well,
so, it's my life.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Listen, for people out there watching at the moment and realizing, oh my goodness, Ross from Prime Circle is going solo. Tell us about your new album. What can we expect? What can they expect?
Yeah, well, the album is called Carousel. It just came out about a month and a half ago. And it's taken me many, many years to write. It's my heart and soul. It's the best thing I can do. And it's beautiful. It takes a lot of journey. It's a beautiful journey. So it goes a little bit avant-garde and a little bit more pop. So it goes all over the place.
What can people expect from the sound of the album? Because obviously we know you from the Prime Circle days, and you guys had a very specific sound.
Yeah.
Now you went off, and now how did you kind of shape your own sound going into this journey?
Yeah. Well, it was strategic. I didn't want to, there was certain sounds I didn't want to use, so I incorporated the same producer who's done the last 2 Prime Circle records, because he would know how not to make a Prime Circle album.
Yeah, for sure.
So I worked with Denham Harding on this one again, and it was a great experience. We just, and had it just really finessed everything, and nothing was by accident.
Absolutely. Listen, I know that you put your head down and you worked hard, not only in the music space, but on yourself as well. I mean, you transformed yourself. You went through a whole health journey, which is fantastic. And now we can hear a brand new song of yours, Young.
Yes, this one's called Young.
Fantastic. Ross Learmonth on your Feel Good Breakfast show this morning. Take it away, my friend.
Oh, buddy, Ross,
come on.
So much. So good to connect with you. Please, gentlemen, take a little bow. We love you guys. So much new music to take in. We love this beautiful new solo journey you're on. Please go and show him some love on social media. He is an absolute legend.
Man, what a treat this morning. What a treat, and also what a treat to have the lovely Spongy with us this morning. This is Zoe. We haven't seen her in the outfit yet.
I'm in it too. Look how fun these shoes are.
Absolutely beautiful.
And so cozy.
So cute.
Very, very, very cute. So, yes, of course, the FM's clothing range, it is in Jam stores from tomorrow.
Yes.
From
tomorrow.
Exciting times.
And we're not going to sell these ones,
No,
okay?
no, those are yours.
These we are not giving away to anybody. It's been an incredible Workers' Day today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the messages, the positive messaging around the load shedding challenge. The solutions are there. It is getting better. We are on the front lines. We get to see a lot more of those solutions happening every day. I promise you, from my heart of hearts, things are getting better, and it's because you guys are making all the change. My favorite quote, if you want to predict the future, create it. That's what we're doing. Absolutely love it.
What a great
I feel like I need to give one last showing of my...
Do it. Do it.
Sorry,
do a little twirl as well.
Give us a twirl.
And this is, normally I'd be in a large, but this is in a medium.
Well. It fits you well.
Love it.
And it sits just above the line.
Just about right.
Oh, gosh.
And Spongy, your shoes, I mean, this is the different variations. You can see the white one, the black one.
Oh,
there's many colors. There's different colors, and we're actually launching the kiddies version as well.
Ooh!
So parents were saying, you know, the kids love the shoes as well. So
you'll be back next week, is what you said. Thank you so much. Thank you for choosing to spend your Workers' Day with us. Never forget how much we love and appreciate.
Have a wonderful day, guys.
Adios.
Another feel-good production.